you guys. And it's amazing how the general response is, my Lord, I always thought that way. Meaning, this process that we are programmed with that makes us doubt, where we have disbelief. You just see something, well, that couldn't happen. That's not real. They would have said something. They would never lie to us. He worked for us. Not so much. Anyway, you have to develop a strong ability to suspend your disbelief. And once you do that, you will have a revelation. You will realize everything that's been told to you is a lie. Everything in school is a lie. All that they call his story is a lie. You know? And once you develop this ability to suspend your disbelief, you start to realize that everything you feel that you doubt is true. So, here we are, 1 minute and 45 seconds into this, and we'll see what we can see. Last night, we were having quite a nice chat, and then it kind of got disabled, and I got back to what I thought was the chat, and even though the timer was clicking, nobody was chatting. But I kind of gibbered on for another half hour until I really realized that, oh, nobody's here. Anyway, the more people kind of screw with this, it's like a positive sign, The worst thing could be is ignored. And I keep telling the powers that shouldn't be, hey guys, you want to rebrand, you want to stay in power. You've been rebranding this process of illusion for the good last 16,000 years, and cataclysms have occurred, and they were more, all of the asteroids that hit us. Like there was one that zoomed by us a few weeks ago, and basically it didn't take a trajectory. It came in, sped up, slowed down, and moved out of the way. Then moved back towards us. Then moved out of the way. I mean, someone was saying, "Listen, guys, we can fuck you up," So, who are the they, and what's going on? And anyone out there in Chatland have any insights, any experiences? As I was talking about the difference between contact and abduction. Abduction is when someone takes you without your permission, right? And when you're brought back, that means you're a guinea pig. You're a control. Millions of people just in North America, just in the United States, are going missing. Millions. And does anyone say anything about that? No. Oh, it must have been somebody's father who was pissed off or some fame. No, not millions of people. These folks are being taken away for experimentation, for body parts, for lots of reasons. Slave labor, you name it, it's it. And then there's the other thing, are the half-breeds, no, hybrids. And that's an interesting little thing. I've seen many a hybrid. Like I said, they can't even tie their shoelaces. They're getting better, but they don't have any empathy, so they have no human connection. And when you find people who have no empathy, they're either a hybrid or they have been abducted and have been traumatized to the point that has been washed out of them. But when you have a soul, when you have a free will, even if these things occur to you, you still. There are a lot of people who have fought their way out of that scene, and have spoken up about it. And they're very brave. They're very, very, very brave. And I have to hand it to them. But I'm going back to the thing that these guys, who, earlier today, this morning's thing, a number of people were going on and on about how evil and terrible and dark. And yes, it's all of that, all of the satanic stuff, all of the everything is all of that. But what has to happen is within the context of a psychoanalysis of this, nothing can be healed by negative and violent reaction. One has to step up and step out of the circle of violence, and that can only be done through love's co-creation. That can only be done when folks are there, right, to be all of your relations, to be there for you. So here we are, 6 minutes and 41 seconds. So I'm going to meditate until you guys show up. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, as it was in the beginning, is now, ever shall be, world without end. Amen. Aho. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou amongst women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, and now in the hour of death. Amen. The interesting thing about everything you've been told is a lie is pretty much every religion is basically just a business plan and a lie. And they all basically retread the same father up there taking care of everything. He's watching like Santa Claus. And, you better do what he says or you'll be smited. You read the Old Testament, man, everybody was killing everyone. There wasn't too much love there, right? And, the Messiah, what does that mean? That means in Judaism, in the Hebrew, that's a guy who's going to come and lead Israel back to primary political and economic source, right? And he's going to carry a sword, and Jesus Christ was talking about forgiveness and turn the other cheek. And where did that come from? And most of what is the Bible, at least the New Testament, came, pretty much in the 5th century. The Catholic Church made it verboten for anybody to be literate. Even the monks who were copying the scrolls didn't even know what they're copying. It was like giving monkeys a typewriter. So pretty much all of what is known as dogma, you ask a question to a minister, a rabbi, a Catholic priest, and you go to the text of the Bible, and there are a lot of, Moses, God told Moses to go smite this whole neck of the woods, right, and kill everyone. And then guys went and killed all the guys, and then Moses said, so did you kill the women too? They went back there and raped them and killed them. Not such a loving God there if he's telling Moses to tell the guys to go do that, So there's so much in the Bible that causes, what are they talking about here, And no one really reads the Bible. They're given a few quotes to keep going on about. And usually people don't even know how to quote them. They take them out of context. They don't even If you go look in the Bible, and that's why I carry a Bible with me all the time. So when people start spouting off, I go, wait. Here's the book. You go look that up, right? What's John say really about that? And read that. What you just said was, God's word, and read what's in the Bible. And 99.99999% when I have people do that, they have totally got it wrong and doesn't even come close. So where do they get that? They were told that. Now, they totally took it out of context. They put it within the construct of their belief, their worldview, which is like based on anything objective? No. Is there anything objective that people in the news, I look at trends and it's mind-boggling, what's going on if you believe any of that, and the way it is so contextually put into a almost football game mentality, of tribe against tribe. Listen, we're all friggin' Americans, and the way men against women, white against black. No, we're all human beings. There's so much more we're alike. We're all our relations. And do we even contextually put that into our life's work, Now, when I talk to people in my Sensei Albob kind of way, I find no one, trying to jump down my throat. They are, no matter where they're coming from, they're super religious, super, racist, super, whatever. No, I can get them to go, I'll have to think about that. And that's what I want. I want you to think about that, right? So, there's three of you there. Anyone got any contextual points of view that can say, I always grew up thinking this, and then I found out that, and I'm really starting to question my worldview. I'm really starting to question what's going on. Like today, again, we have 216 of you adepts, part of the family here, and once I start chatting, by the time we get to a half an hour or so, there'll be somewhere between 8 and 20 people on the chat, and they come and go, and they're there. There's a certain group, like Ghost, who are regulars, and really always give thought to what they say, and add a true dimension and depth to our chat, right? But there's hundreds out there that just watch, right? And then contact me on the old, the dude awake 42 at Gmail. And, some of them travel through wherever I am and they come and visit, right? So I had visitors, a group come and visit, and they were very nice. And, I was at the place I had my morning chat, my favorite little restaurant. They came and visited, and they grew up in a certain place and they had a certain kind of worldview. But what was very interesting, since they've been watching this, they have been like expanding their, I didn't know that, or I have to check that out. And then they check it out and go, and Sensei Bob says, don't even believe the word he says, just, if you can resonate in your heart. That's, so these people who that wasn't the way they thought about things, that's now the way they're starting to go. About to send you your package of goodies, PO box. Okay. That is lovely. I always, all my teachers always say, you can't charge anybody for this, but if they want to give you a present, it's all good. So I love the fact that, and again, lots of you sent me so many beautiful cards and drawings and poems and other gifts. I mean, I've gotten a lot of nice supplements. That especially this one sister sent me this stuff called Carbon 60. That's truly amazing. It is like helped a lot with all of my pain and not pain so much, because my meditation works on that. But loosening up my joints, because I'm like the Tin Man in the Wizard of Oz. If I sit or lie or not move too, I start to rust. And if I move too much, and then I kind of fall apart. So that stuff has been quite interesting about loosening up my joints. Very, very good. And also my teeth. It's helped my teeth a great deal. Let's see. I'm excited. Yep. So am I. Synchronicity has been truly an interesting dynamic of what this chat has been, right? And sour soap tea? What the heck is that? I'm a big fan of tea. Sour. Well, I'm trying. I don't know what it is. Explain to me a little more, Ghost, about sour soap tea. Am I saying it right? You ask me questions, and then when you kind of fill in the gaps, I go, oh, that's what that stuff is. Okay, what is that? What is... Anyway, so it was a good day. We had a nice morning chat, and it was quite, the response on the chat, quite interesting. There were a few new folks who jumped in, and we're kind of pushing the envelope, which is good. Don't want to have everyone, you know, you know, speak into the, when I say the choir, it's not so much that we all singing the same song. It's that all our different voices come together in an amazing harmony, right? So you can have different points of view. I'm all up for that. Okay, I'm gonna go check it out. No, I have never heard. I don't know what it is. Where do I get it? Is it in a supplement form? Can I go to my neighborhood co-op and find it? I will. So you give me a little more information, and any information on things of that nature. And if you can link me or send me something on it on my The Dude Awake 42 at Gmail, I would totally love it. Right, to put it up because some of this. Okay. Well, werewolves and Bigfoot and all of those kind of things, they are totally there. And like I said, people have been screwing around with our DNA forever. So we're just one gigantic big science fair. And that's one reason why, just by the roulette wheel of chance, we have done so much stupid stuff. We should have toasted ourselves a long time ago. But somebody's watching out for us, that's for sure. We are definitely either somebody's interesting reality TV show, or we're somebody's experiment, and they're waiting for the outcome of the experiment. Thanks, bud. Put a link below. Do I know what it feels like to be a vampire? Not really. Now, I've known a few, and and they're all different kinds of vampires. There's guys who got to drink your blood, but most of those guys don't want to hurt people, so they get blood from rats and raccoons and things of that nature. And meaning, because once you drink human blood, you're going down a path you really don't want to go down. It's like I made a vow to my sensei never to take a life, no matter what. Doesn't mean I can't kick someone in the kneecap and disable them and run away. I mean, that is, but I was trained to know of the violence coming before it gets there, so I cannot be there when it's coming down the pike. Let's see, I never drank. You don't want to drink human blood. It is weird shit. I told you the story the other night about the first shoot I did as a newspaper photographer at a crime scene. And these guys went after each other with shotguns in a small room, and there were body parts every which way. And the whole floor was like a half inch of blood. And I never, ever found anything before it coagulated. It was slicker than snot. It was unbelievable. So, and the smell was, ooh, you don't like the smell. And as it stayed there, the smell was different. You know, 10 minutes, I got there, it smelled one way. Then another 10 minutes, it was it was a humid, warm evening. I said, you don't want to drink blood. And then there are vampires that are all about drinking in the fear of people. That's why they have wars, because, man, what happened in Syria, Iraq, Yugoslavia, ooh, there were a lot of vampires around those places. Well, the werewolf. Did you ever see that, teenage vampire movie? I mean, that really kind of, both of them, the one in the 50s and the one in the 80s, kind of capture it. And again, I say, everyone has a lot of things in them. And you, nanosecond to nanosecond, have a choice to be that angel or that devil, be that reptile, be that werewolf, And, werewolves, meaning I'm a real dog boy. I relate to dogs. I mean, I can get along with cats, but I'm a dog boy. And so, I've been around wolves, and out in the woods. I've lived in places where they were out in the west, there were wolves. And they were there, and I was respectful to them, and they were respectful to me. I was not a threat to them, and I had nothing they really wanted. And I was not scared of them, because my grandfather, David, one of the elders of the Hopi prophecies, he would take me out to these places and show me what it was like. And we went to places where there were a lot of dimensional creatures that went bump in the night. Why do you think they got all that weird crap in the West? Because there's some heavy duty energy lines out there. That's where these creatures come from. They come from other dimensions. They kind of pop in, pop out. Oh, the Black Goose stuff, yes. Well, the X-Files, Chris, what's his name? The X-Files was excellent, It really portrayed a lot of the things. I mean, television is really a cornucopia of, problematic programming, where they want to basically get you ready to accept, what they're going to bring down. And so that whole thing about the black oil that has, not the oil we put in our car, but this other oil that has a consciousness, right? And it is one of the consciousnesses of the planet, It kind of was dropped here. It may be alien in its force, but I think we're alien in its force. So, like I said, this is one gigantic science fair, and everything that's going on around us is simply that. And Chris Carter had another show, which was about the near future, and we were out in space, and there was the space fleet. And he was talking about exactly what's going on right there, Solar Warden, you know. And he had another interesting show called Millennium, up until the year 2000. And what's really interesting is that show was really right on about a lot of things, and it was almost 20 years ago. I mean, shit goes quicker than you can, even shake a stick at. Yeah, Black Goo. Yeah, like I said, X-Files does the best. And the X-Files came out in the last few years and had these like little, you know, mini, 5 or 6 episodes, and then went away for, half the season, then come back with another 5 or 6, and those were quite excellent. Where they brought back Mulder and Scully, and then they had the younger, the next generation of those guys. I don't know, I don't watch TV enough. I just kind of stumble across it, and they don't, put it up so I can, get a copy, a DVD at my library. Yes, it acts kind of like a parasite. And it increases its host abilities, right? And it's and that's what transhumanism is, the development of nano particles to be injected through, more or less, chemtrails are just, it's not, meaning the chemtrails that we see really can't you know, do anything to the weather. I mean, if you want something to do with weather, you have to do something above 60,000 feet, and then it stays up there and has an effect. But when you put it down below 50,000 feet, and most of the chemtrails we see are about 35,000 feet, and they are being sprayed out by commercial airliners and other aircraft that are that same, but not commercially tagged. And I think those are doing more to basically spray the environment that we live in, not just Monsanto's, genetically modified plants, but that kind of stuff, floating down on top of us. And we breathe it in, and I think it has a lot more to do with what it's doing to us than our weather. Not to say that our weather isn't being modified, but it's in a different way. Well, everything can kill the host eventually, but parasites actually don't want you to die, because then they'd lose their free meal. So a lot of parasites are actually really good for you. And one of the things that is the biome in your gut. You've got like 20 billion little creatures with a brain in your colon. Yeah, this is true. They need an overhaul. Love Files. How about, did you guys ever watch Fringe? Yeah, J.J. Abrams had some really excellent shows. I mean, Lost was Lost. I mean, the name was great because if you didn't watch every episode, the next one you had no idea what the fuck was going on. They kept bouncing around, It was the whole show was lost, but it had some interesting little things, and he was getting his chops up. So the show Friends was excellent, right? It really kind of gave a nice little thing about multidimensional, the observers, um, and it just kept throwing out fringe science, and it was a great venue to show stuff, right? And he had another show called Person of Interest, which was about dueling AIs, and that was quite good too. Yeah, like I said, the newer ones are quite interesting, and I would love it if they could frigging, put it on a DVD so my library would buy it and I could watch. Because the only way I can really like study TV is, get a DVD of it and watch it. So Fringe was something I could watch like that, and same with Person of Interest. Let's see. Yep, the immunity is in the gut, and also your brains are in the gut. Boy, I had a gut feeling about that. They're more intelligent than those little guys. Ends up in your head. Thank you. Well, when your gut gets compromised, you are not going to feel too good. And again, the process of meditation and visualization can manifest great health in any part of your body that you focus on. I'm a prime example. My endocrinologist says I'm the healthiest dead guy he knows. He can't understand how I keep ticking. And getting better. Meaning, you should have seen me 3 years ago. 4 years ago. I had to walk with a walker, and my legs were in metal clamps, and I'm not a pretty sight. And I had another 60 pounds on me. Pants I'm wearing, these used to be tight on me. Now they're baggy. I had to puncture another hole in my belt. And I'm doing it the right way, and I'm losing a pound or two every month. And because if you lose a lot of weight, you get all those saggy, flabby skin flaps are pretty disgusting. And my body is just kind of tightened up. So, and most of this, yes, I've really curtailed my diet. I take the right supplements, but 89% of why I'm still alive is meditation. And when I muscle test myself for whatever supplement I need, I don't take them all the time, but when I need them, I muscle test myself every day, looking for what I need to do. Yep, the clearer your mind gets, the more your body will flip this. Yep. So, tonight's little episode here is, everything you've been told is a lie. So let's have a little chat on that one about how we are seeing this, how we can overcome this, and how we can use our ability to suspend our disbelief to see the truth. Yep. Clarity is in body. Clarity in body. Clear and clear. Yep. Yep. Thank you, 09. Exactamente. Yep, we're building the vibration here. Yep. So any kind of, like I said, this morning's little thing, there was one brother who must have truly experienced some god awful things, and we just talked through it, and by the end, he was talking like 009 here, right? No, we're not the lie. Everything, if we believe these lies, we aren't the lie, we are just living that lie. That's a big difference. Remind me who Dr. Sebi is. Dr. Sebi has good talks about the mucus buildup. Yep, that's a big problem. And you can do simple things. Every morning, the first thing I do, the school up here has amazingly, unbelievably great spiritual water. And every morning, I drink 2 or 3 big glasses of water that I squeeze fresh lemon into. So it makes my body alkaline rather than acidic. And that's a good starting point, right? And before that, I meditated, 5 to 40 minutes on exactly what O nine said here about um, realize the dream within our dream. We are always co-creating love, right? Buddies, talking about the lie. You're Dr. Ghost, okay. O nine. Yeah, has good talks about mucus, yes, okay. I'm gonna have to check that out. I will go check it out. Why Southwest? It is so dark. Now, what are you talking about, bud? Are you talking about the sky having no light so you can see the sun, stars, and that's why it's dark like that? Or are you talking more about a paranormal kind of darkness? Okay, I will do that. And all the things you guys turn me on to, I always go check it out. That is the case. Look at what they did to Wilhelm Reich. Pretty much everybody. My mentor, the person who really made me healer, the colonel at Fort Hamilton in Brooklyn. We developed a protocol to get people off of heroin, like in 2 weeks. You know, there was a acupuncture point in the ear that you just stuck an earring in. There were a number of teas, other herbs that we built a protocol around. I did shamanic work, energy work, and we could get people physically off of any addictive anything. Now, the emotional cause of that addiction, that took some time, but we had a really good program that we could get people on their way within a month and a half, right? And that's when the government wanted to make everyone use L-dopamine, or what is known as methadone. And it's a synthetic opiate that once it goes into the receptor, you are hooked to life. And if you can't get your shot of methadone, you will do another opiate. So once people use methadone, they are an addict for life. Holistic practitioner, Florida states. Yes, exactly. And about suicide, the kids who went off to war um, in Afghanistan, and the 18-year-old war that we've been having, and it's not just in 2 or 3 countries. We were at war in 200 countries around this planet, and they come back broken, and the VA doesn't help them. And there's over 60,000 kids who have been time after time after time deployed until they broke in country, and then they acted out against their sergeant or lieutenant, and then they get a dishonorable discharge, even though they got a chest full of medals, and then they can't get any help at the VA or any education or anything, and they come home and their families can't relate to them, and their towns where they grew up can't deal with them, and so they commit suicide. And about 80,000 of these heroes have come home and committed suicide. We have had more of these young people commit suicide after coming back from these wars than died in Vietnam. And no one talks about it. And I deal with a lot of homeless people, and I would say at least a good 60% of the homeless people today are those young people. Well, this is true. This is very true. But the use of methadone increases the difficulty in getting people off of opiates. Now, there are other drugs what's the drug that you take so you don't get an OD? That is a very good drug, and they keep that from people. And there's another drug in that same family that keeps you from ODing, which is a really good, weaning off drug. And the other thing is more than 60% of the drug, um, rehab, you have to go cold turkey. They won't let you use an intermediate drug to wean yourself off. And that is just wrong, a wrong protocol. What do you know about having a taste bomb? What do you know about, what is TASTE? Is that taste? I mean, is that, I have a whole rap on taste, what people think is good or bad. Yes, that crap is, what Ghost says here, scopolamine, or whatever that is. That is really bad stuff. It will not only screw you up emotionally, mentally, but it'll cause you to have hemorrhaging. Yes, you can get clean off of anything. I mean, me too. I was addicted to the hedonist lifestyle of living in a swimming pool of chocolate pudding, I got myself out. It took 5 years. But you are correct, you know. Yes, narcissism. Narcan, thank you. Yep, Narcan. Narcan is a very, and it's the good things are hard to get. The bad things, they hand out like cotton candy. Yes, this is true. Yes. So, I'm saying methadone is bad and not, you know, I try not to make generalizations, right? Not, nothing's 100%, and buddy, you're a blessed being for being that, you're that 5%. And that's why your buddy blind, that's why you're the man. And you can speak from experience, from being there. And you need to speak about being there, Now, I'm a guy who's the observer. So I was there helping people, And I would, because of who I am and what I am, I can't do drugs. I can't if I drink, that little buzz you saw me have, I got that from a 1.5 not glasses, but drinks, like maybe, I had like maybe 1 jigger of Irish whiskey and 2 jiggers of, Irish cream. And that gave me that buzz, right? So I can't drink, I can have 1 glass of wine with dinner because I like the taste. I can have 1 glass of nice single malt, but that's it. Can't go any further than that. Maybe 1 beer if it's really hot out and the beer's cold. But I can't do I worked in rock and roll for 20 years. I couldn't do cocaine. I couldn't do any pills. I couldn't do anything, And, a little bit of, God's sacrament, but just a little bit. I can't do too much of that either. And, I am in service to love's co-creation. So I've been, given this blessing of not being able to do drugs. Um, Dragon, what do those two drugs do? Scopolamine and Duradrar and a delirance. What do they do, and what is that D word? Take too much and you're dead. Yeah, that's a bad trip. Yes, antidepressants and antipsychotics are really wicked bad, wicked strange drugs. I mean, every drug, if used properly, or look, again, sorry for saying every, most drugs, if used appropriately, can help in certain circumstances. But you watch the TV ads, and if you have this, your legs will fall off, you'll shit out of your eyes, and any drug that has 15 minutes worth of disclaimers, you shouldn't really, if I have a choice of like, having a rash or dying of internal bleeding, I think I would live with the rash. And if I take this drug to try and quit tobacco, and I become psychotic, well, maybe I'll just cut down on the cigarettes I'm smoking. Then, if you don't do or haven't done, I have done drugs. I just don't do. I can't. My body rejects them, right? And I keep giving the disclaimer: don't believe anything I say. You know, and I am just throwing this stuff out to get comments from you guys. So I've worked in hospitals. I've been a shrink. I've seen a lot of stuff. You know, and I've taken heroin once, right? And that experience was so off the wall that I said, okay, I won't do that again. And I've taken psychotropics maybe 6 times in my life, and they were okay, but I can get a more interesting travel path with meditation than doing psychotropic drugs. Now, I do like marijuana, and it does do good things for my eyeballs, and it does good things for my joints and my pain and my blood, and I like the way it makes me feel. But I don't smoke a lot of it because I don't have any money, I don't have any access to it. But people who know I like it, come and visit. Smoke a little bit. So I've had some experience, bud. But like I said, the way my body works, I really can't do a lot of pills. I remember I lived in Jamaica in a grill where, there's tons of herb, and there was this place that was like, a little lean-to. And it had a sign on it saying drugstore. And they had quaaludes and all kinds of ups and downs. And those were legal, rolling papers were illegal, but those things were legal. And I had a little girlfriend who just loved quaaludes. And she tried to get me to try them. So one time I tried them because she wanted me to be, in the same shape that she was. And I took 1/10 of what she was taking. And it just like turned me into silly putty, you know? I couldn't walk, I couldn't talk, I couldn't do anything. Just kind of lie there and went, ugh, that wasn't that much fun. Yes, the biggest drug dealer. Why, you know, Grandpa died the other day, right? George H.W.B., right? And you know what his nickname was? Poppy. Do you know why his nickname was Poppy? Not because he was grandfather, because he was one of the largest wholesalers of poppies, heroin, opioid, the gum, on this planet. Biggest seller of drugs are, the intelligence because it's their black budget. Again, everybody's different. Oh, nine. And exactly what you say here is good for some people, and not everything. In my experience in the medical world, not every drug is good for doesn't do, and not every drug or substance does the same thing for everybody. Some people does this, some people does that, and I'm a prime example. Meaning, when I got they wanted to cut my legs off because I had diabetes and neuropathy and charcoal legs and a whole bunch of other things. I said no, and they gave me a couple of drugs for my diabetes, and they were terrible. I mean, it just made me feel like crap. And I told the doctor, hey, this stuff ain't good for me. And I'm the doctor, I know better. And then I did some online stuff, and I saw that what I was, the side effects I was having, they had right there in their, data. And I printed it up and I handed it to the doctor. I said, read this. He goes, I don't have time to read that. And that's when I found a different doctor. And I had to go through 5 different doctors until I found one doctor who actually wanted to have that conversation with me and actually work with me to try different, anti diabetic drugs, to get me the kind of insulin response that I needed. And we tried a number of them until I found the one that worked good for me. But if I had accepted just, oh, I'm the doctor and I know better, I'd probably be dead. But I didn't. And I don't know if I told you this. Yesterday, Sunday, I went to a hospital with the Salvation Army gang. And we were at a hospital that was very beautiful, very nice, very modern, very clean. Yep, poppy. And there were 120 patients in there. And everyone in there was pretty well off, had really good insurance. And every 120 of these people were in the hospital because they did what the doc, like there was this lady. She had cancer. Who knows whether she had cancer, but when she was 28, they said, oh, you have cancer. She didn't feel bad. She didn't have any outward signs, but, oh, you have cancer. So they chemoed her and radiated her. And then she had to test, um, you know, every year. And then about 8 years later, oh, it's come back, and they chemoed and radiated her again. And then a third time, when she was in her 50s, they chemoed and radiated her again. And then when she was in her 60s, she was standing with a friend, again, getting ready, waiting on line to get some food, and her hip broke. And when she fell, she broke her ankle, right? And they took her to the hospital, and her bones had basically turned to balsa wood. And she was in that hospital because she couldn't walk. If she got out of bed to use the toilet, her leg would break. So she was stuck there. And because her insurance was good, she was like in jail. And all 120 of those people were in there because of the response their body had to what the medical model said they had. And there was this one guy, he was a rich guy. He was, had a lot of power. And his foot hurt, and he went to see his doctor, and the guy, oh, he just got a sprain here, just put this face bandage. And it didn't get any better for weeks and weeks and weeks. And then, he went to his doctor, and the doctor said, oh, my God, you have gangrene. We're going to have to cut that toe off. And they cut the toe off, and then they had to cut half his foot off, and then they had to cut the foot off, then they had to cut his leg off, then they had to cut the other leg off, and they just, chipped him away. He's been in this hospital. He hasn't been able to get out of bed for 5 years. He just wants to die, but because he's a rich guy and his will has given all his money away to, nonprofit things that he believed in, his family, his business partners, and everyone else who's sucking his money won't let him die. But he's in that hospital suffering. And he, So what I did for 3 hours was I Reiki 20 people, along with this woman praying. It really kind of, oh my God, I can't believe how good I feel, you know. And the other thing I did was I listened to their story. No one would listen to their story, and this one guy was weeping in my arms, and you know, and there were a lot of these people who were about to fall out of bed. No one was. I mean, they had a really good staff, and anyway, so I was like energizing this whole place, and the head nurse came to me and said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Well, I'm, doing this." And she goes, You're doing," and her way of understanding what I was doing, you're doing laying on of hands." And I said, "Well, kind of, yep, pretty much." And then her protege, who was with her, this other nurse, she was Jamaican, and she said, my grandmother used to be a shaman. You're a shaman, aren't you? You're a shaman." And I said, "Well, kind of." Anyway, so both of these women then opened up, and they almost started to cry because those 20 people that we went, took 3 hours to spread the Christmas spirit. But I mean, that's why we were there. That's what the Salvation Army said. And this woman I was with, she was so sweet. She had made 120 Christmas cards herself and signed individual greetings to all these people and gave them out one at a, to each of them. That was the most personal thing these people had, and they were all between the ages of 56 and 80. Like I said, they were all pretty well to do. They all had really good insurance, and they were being kept there, being milked by the HMO, and they weren't being healed. They weren't being let to go, and they were just in amazing suffering. So these nurses was talking to this one nurse, so, why aren't you guys, I mean, I can tell that you are very good at what you do, that you're really giving these people good service, but you're not giving them any kind of empathy or emotional connection. And she said, "Listen, our protocol says that we're supposed to treat these people like they're automobiles, and we're just car mechanics." And she also said, if we were to just let our guard down and be empathetic, we would be crying because we see what suffering these people are. We see what situation we are in, but we're stuck here too because I need this job. I get health care out of this, and my daughter needs that health care. She's autistic, and everyone there was, the nurses, are, like I said, were really competent and were doing a good job, but they were not making that empathetic connection because that's part of the protocol. And the lady who ran the place was an actual frigging demon. And she was getting off on the suffering of these people. And the corporation was making millions, and I'm sure they were some way getting off on the suffering of these people. Because these people were suffering right? And the guy who was really rich and powerful, who was weeping in my arms, and man, I couldn't touch him really hard because he had been in that bed so long that his skin would slough off if you touched him. He was on this bed that was like he was lying on a cushion of air because he had such severe bed sores. And he was in torment. And he goes, "Am I being punished for all the things I did in business?" And I said, "You're the only guy who can judge that. I can't." And let's see, ghost. So to Bob, my spirit guide's name is Shaman. Is that weird? No, of course not. Everybody's society trying to let me know I myself am a shaman. Duh. I don't know. I would say yes. How do you feel? You have to go with what your heart chakra tells you. And what I'm reading from what you just told me, Mr. Ghost, yes, you are a shaman. All of you guys and gals are shaman. Gold is good. Yes, gold is good. And what's interesting about gold, we have been genetically given, so we were, genetically manufactured by a alien race, the Anunnaki. We were their slaves, right? And why are we so driven for gold? Gold is, it's just an element. It's not anything better. It's a conductor, but so is copper. Um, you know, silver. Using collated silver is really good for your body too. You know, uh, yeah, colloidal gold, colloidal silver, colloidal. Like I said, this stuff called carbon 60 is quite interesting. Yes, I can't judge. And all I can do, and that's what I said to him. I said, I can't judge you, but I can love you because of what you are, a human being. You are part of all my family. And this guy just was like weeping. And he was going, it made me feel so good. Because every of those 20 people, everyone was saying, what are you doing? I haven't felt this good since I've been here. Don't leave. And I'm going to have to go back to. But the lady who ran the place, she was definitely a demon because when we showed up, we had to, hey, here we are. We're from Salvation Army. And I was wearing that big red goofy hat I had. I had the bells on just to make people happy. Everyone who sees me with that hat smiles and says, boy, that's so funny. So, so we checked in with this lady and she looked at the hat and we gave her, you know, part of the Salvation magazine, and she said, "Oh, thank you very much." And then I said, "Let me see your palm." And basically, every time I have this kind of energetic thing when I say, "Oh, let me see your palm," 99.999% of everyone will just put their hand up automatically, and I'll read their palm. Well, she put her palm up, and I started reading it, and I saw that, ooh, there's something going on in this girl. So I didn't say, "Oh, you're a demon," but I started saying things about how she looks at stuff and how she responds to people, and she's really freaked out, right? And she goes, "Oh, this is demonic. This is devil worship." And I said, "Not really. This is just like Mr. Potato Head. I mean, any kind of things that I do are just pattern recognition. Human beings, we are like Mr. Potato Head. There's 5 noses, 5 eyes, 5 this. There are basically 20 different patterns. And then if you put it 20 times 20, that's the total number of patterns within, muscle testing, cranial sacral, palmistry. These are all kind of, what they call biometrics. And I've been trained to read them. It's not, devil worship or hokey mysticism or any of that stuff. It's simple, pattern recognition. Anyway, I've been doing it for 50 years, so I'm pretty good at it. And I had some pretty great teachers. So I just kind of dropped, in a way, not to get anyone else who was around might hear what I said, but I let this lady know what it was. And she just freaked out and ran away, ran into her office and locked the door. Meaning she didn't try and attack me. She just kind of, woo! And I kind of made so how many demons does it take to screw in a light bulb? And she said, boom, ran away. And now exorcism is when a demon can't exist in this dimension. It has to, come into the avatar of the meat puppet. And so, depends on what you're doing in your life. You're watching a ton of TV, you're eating a bunch of Fruit Loops, you totally let your spiritual power wane, by you totally believing the crap you're told. If you don't have an ounce of disbelief in you, then yeah, you're going to be pretty susceptible. Just like we were talking about the little creatures living off of you. And that's what a demon is. It's a form of a little creature sucking on you. What do you think about the secret trust that every citizen has made at the Federal Reserve on their Social Security cards? Yeah, well, it's one of those things. If you are in the material world and these guys are, there's a thing coming down called the true ID, which is really. But yeah, if you want to, you know, you have to kind of live in the material world. If you're in the material world, you don't have to believe in it. You don't have to sign on. Just because you got a social security card doesn't mean your soul is lost forever. No, you know, if you are serving love's co-creation, okay. So you got a social security card. So you got a driver's license. So you got a job. So you got any of those things. What I do is I use all of that kind of stuff as a training wheel. Okay, I'm going to deal with this system. I'm going to learn how to, navigate it, not be rolled over by it. You live near gold mines? What's interesting about gold? A good example, wherever they go, wherever so South Africa, right, is one of the largest commercial gold mines on the planet, right? Well, they dig it out, and it goes into this collective, and once it's been weighed and measured in this and goes off to this place, it is never seen again, meaning there is no paper trail of where it went, who did what with it, da 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 da. And I think it goes off the planet. I think there are certain, the movie Men in Black was righteous because it's kind of really exactly what's going on. I mean, there are not just a couple different aliens on this planet. There's probably 900 to 19,000 different species of aliens that are on the planet. There's probably 40,000 of them zipping around our solar system, and they're like those asteroids out there are just chock full of minerals and things that aren't even on this planet. And if we had them, we could do some pretty interesting things. And that's why the secret space force is out there mining that shit. Half the people, in the United States, about 2 million people go missing every frigging year. They don't make a big deal about it, And what do? Experiments, body parts, slaves. And, Corey Good's a good example. I wouldn't doubt that boy was taken off planet, He looks pretty, Let's see, back when I was young, I used to love all the Ouija boards and all that dark stuff. Yeah, well, you're susceptible when you're young. That was long ago. Yeah, it's, all of those things are portals into some pretty dark places. And if you're susceptible to them, ooh, baby, it's not going to be a fun ride. They're not just little, toys, Yes, it's good to be scared sometimes, But like I said, gang, when things go bump in the night, the worst thing to do is be scared of it, I keep saying the Our Father, man, if you ever get in a place where you feel really, oops, this could be bad. Okay, here's a story. So, I told you a number of stories and showed you pictures of rainbow gatherings, right? And I haven't drank I mean, they're fun. I have loads of friends. They're people that I will never see unless I go to a rainbow gathering, and they'll be there, right? And they'll always love it when I show up, and, I have a great time, and I spent years with these people, scouting and seed camp and running these things, and they're just loads of fun, but they're a pain in the ass also. And they're in a lot of ways, they're very hypocritical. The rainbow, well, it's all white people. It's not too rainbowy, really. And so anyway, I helped put together a rainbow gathering in Ithaca, New York, right? And what happened was, I was at Cornell University. A friend of mine who is a professor, he says, oh, we're going to go see some fun people. You'll like these people. And so I show up at this lady's house in Ithaca, and there are about 20 people there screaming at each other. I didn't tell them to come. You told them to come. Blah, blah, blah. And what has happened these folks were very bourgeois. They owned businesses, they were going to school, they were teaching, they had families, they had kids, and they all kind of went to a rainbow gathering, took a bunch of LSD, totally blissed out, and they went to council at the end of the gathering, invited everyone to come to Ithaca. And then a few months later, everyone said, sure. So about 20,000 road dog hippies were about to land in Ithaca, and these people thought that they would be blamed, and the social services would take their kids away, and they lose their businesses, and they're totally freaking out. Anyway, so my friend, who I went to and I didn't know any of these people, and my friend, this is my friend Al, he points at me, he has agreed to facilitate this gathering. And everyone said, we all consent. And they ran out of this lady's house, leaving me holding the bag. And I didn't consent to anything. My friend just kind of chuckled because now you got to do this thing. I said, what? He says, I want you to do an ethnography of this gathering. I mean, that's what you do, so do it. And he was like contracted by the Forest Service to do this, and he was having me do it, right? So anyway, he just was chuckling away. He thought it was the funniest thing, right? He's leaving me handle the bag. So this woman, her name was Cam, and she was really sweet sister. And she said, okay, I see what has happened here. I know this goofball, and he just kind of roped you into this, didn't he? And she goes, I'll help you out. And I said, gee, thanks. And then she had two, good friends who were, really great sisters, and they too said, we'll help you out. So there was my chorus. It was me and these three beautiful women. They said, we'll help you put this gathering together. And I said, okay, sounds like a deal. So, one of the things you need at a rainbow gathering is to have it in a national forest, because if you have it in a national forest, you can legally camp there without having a permit, right? So a rainbow gathering is 20,000 people, and you're just kind of camping with 20,000 of your best of buddies. And the federal government really can't do anything about it. They try and hassle you. They try to be mean. They try to do all kinds of things. So my experience, I've been around. I kind of told you a few stories of my rainbow experiences. So I knew what it was. I knew all the people who did it. I knew how it was going to go out. So I said, okay, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to make sure this is the best gathering ever had. And people will remember this for the rest of rainbow history, and I will go down in annals of this is how you do it, They're going to write a book about this, and how Al did it is how we need to do it, right? So, okay. So first off, I had to find some place to do it in New York State, right, near Ithaca. So, I go to the Forest Service, and I said, so where's the national forest around here? And they said, there aren't any. I said, what do you mean? And they said, New York State is the only state in the Union that doesn't have any national forest. I said, how did that happen? And they said, well, back in the day, the Dutch settled this place, and they weren't like the English or the Spanish or the French. They didn't conquer anything. They rented the land from the Indians. So there's a contract. So there are no federal forests because we didn't steal it from the Indians. We rented it from them. I said, what? And the guy goes, and that contract is coming up within a year. And we're going to have to give about 80% of New York State back to the Iroquois Nation. And they have already taken it to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said, yep, this is a valid contract, and yep, that you have to give this right. So the Forest Service guy said, in essence, the Iroquois Nation owns New York State. So if you want to find a place to do this thing, you should go talk to those guys. So I said, really? And the guy gave me the head chief, his name is David. And, here's his phone number. And here's his, son owns a business in town. And go to that business, look for his son, talk to him, and go from there. So that's what I did. Went to him, and I told him what I wanted to do. And he said, I have to take you to go see my dad. So I went to see, and his name was David too. My grandpa in New Mexico, who's, one of the chief elders of the Hopi prophecy, his name was David, right? So when I went to see Grandpa David of the Iroquois Nation, he knew the other David, right? It was like, wow, this is like amazing. Anyway, so he said, "Oh, you know that guy in New Mexico? Oh, we're buds. We were in the military together." Okay. So he says, "You need to, come and, we have to sweat." I said, "No, no problem. I'm down with that." So I went up to his property. He had a beautiful property, and I think it was like up in the Finger Lakes, and the Finger Lakes are beautiful. All these lakes and all this water and all these rivers, and in Trumansburg they have the highest waterfall in the Northeast, if not in America. Anyway, so this guy knows everything about everything. He's the chief of the Iroquois Nation. So he says, there is one piece of property we have. It's about 1,000 acres, and it's one of our sacred spots. So back in the day, when Teddy Roosevelt was around, he came up and met us, and we smoked the pipe, and we said we want to protect this, And he said, well, we're going to make this a national forest, and they made a spatial law, within the state government and the federal government, and they made that piece of property a national forest. So there was the place we could have the gathering. It was kind of between Trumansburg and Watkins Glen, right? So now I found a place, and it's owned and run and controlled by the Iroquois Nation, and Grandpa David is like, know, down. We just were like two peas in a pod. His son, whose name was David too, David Yarrow. That was their Dutch name. And all the Iroquois Nation, they had blonde hair and blue eyes because they all had married. The Dutch had married into the Iroquois. Anyway, so it's okay. So we go there, and it's like February when the two, Grandpa David and David Yarrow, his son, we're walking the land, and they're showing me everything, and we're kind of parsing it out. And there were these 4 meadows, really big, about 300 acres each. And these guys, they had cows and they had crops, and they rotated everything. They used no insecticides, no fertilizers. They just moved the cows around and moved the crops around, and they had no problem with insects or, they didn't need any kind of fertilizer. Anyway, so this year was a year that they had moved everything over to the other side of this property where they had another 300-acre, 300-acre things where they were growing and got the cows. So these were 300-acre meadows that were beautiful, that nothing had been on for about a year. No cows, no plants, no nothing. They hadn't dug up the land, and the grass was growing, and it was really beautiful. And it was February. So we walked around, and they had hedgerows like they do in Ireland. Back in the day, they moved all the stones, and they made, hedgerows, and then it was just like Ireland, because everything that grew up in it was witch hazel and a milk thistle and a few other, really, you wouldn't want to try to get through these things because they would rip you up. So I found this one really beautiful spot. I dowsed and found this spot that was calling my name. And I had pictures of it, and I said, well, this is going to be my home. So I did ceremony in there with the two Davids. We smoked a pipe, we meditated, and we laid it out to where are we going to put the sweat lodge, where we're going to do this, where we're going to do that, and this was going to be my little healing temple and my campsite. So I went back to, Grandpa David's house, spent a couple more days with him, and I had to get back to Cornell to get back to what I'm doing. So I, took pictures of everything, brought them to Walmart's and had them developed. So I had pictures of everything, and then I took it to Cam and the girls, and they said, "Oh, that's beautiful." So I took them up there, and they were like, "Whoa!" And it was quite, it was a perfect site because it was right off of 81. It was really easy to get to. There was a county road that came right off of that. It was, like I said, between Trumansburg, this big waterfall, and Seneca Lake was at the bottom of the hill from where the site was. Anyway, so I went back to the Forest Service guy and said, well, that was great information, and this is the site. And I got it all kumbaya. We're going to do it. They're going to support it. And they go, that's great. And I said, okay. Now, my experience with rainbow gathering is, you know, Forest Service people can be pretty stickery about this. Right now, this ain't your property, so you really have no authority over it, even though it is a national forest. It's outside of your purvey. And he goes, "Yep." So I don't have a stick in this. But what about the rest of the sixes? And the six are the police, the FBI, the nasty dudes of the Forest Service. And he said, "Well, again, I'm not going to call him. What you need to do is you need to go talk to the sheriff and the state trooper." And he gave me all the names of all the authorities, right? And they were pretty much over in Washington Glen, because this was the county that this property was in. So I said, "Okay, that sounds like a good deal." So, and he again goes, "Here's the phone numbers. Go give him a call." So I called all these guys up and I said, "Listen," and I gave him my, what the name on my driver's license, and I said, "Hey, I'm with the Rainbow Gathering, and we're going to do this gathering over at this site, and I've gotten the okay from the Iroquois Nation, and both the Davids are on board, and they're going to help sponsor this, and it's going to be a real, you know, spiritual thing, and not just a drug, frenzied party." And the guy goes, "Really?" I go, "Yeah." And I want to talk to you guys. I want the state trooper guy. I want the county sheriff. I want the city, White Glen head police guy. I want the district attorney. I want all the police authorities there. And I want, you know, you can't tell us we can't do it, because the property is owned by the Indian Nation, and they've given us total, we love the idea, and you have no authority. It's like their nation. It's not part of America. But these people are going to be coming through your county, and I want you to tell me how you want us to do it. Can't tell us we can't do it, but I want to work with you. I want you to set the protocols. I want you to show me how to do how you want it done. And the guy said, "Really?" I said, "Yeah. What day can we get together?" And he said, how about Thursday of next week?" I said, "We'll be there. What time?" And he said, "Oh, how about 10:30?" I said, "Not a problem. You get all those guys there, and I'll be there." And so he said, "Well, that's really great. I'm really glad you called. This sounds pretty good." And I said, "Yep, it's going to be great." So, I had a suit in my one real business suit. So I got it pressed and cleaned, and I got Cam and the girls to come, and I said, "Put your most beautiful diaphanous kind of, um, gypsy, amazing outfit on." And the three girls, we showed up, and I'm in like, a business suit, and the girls are in these amazing outfits, and there the guys are in the uniforms. Show up, we introduce each other, um, and I show them the pictures and how I want it, and kind of the vision I thought about it, and what I thought was needed, and what do you want, how do you want to do it, da da da, boom boom boom. And they almost started to cry. They were just, because I'm saying, "You're part of it." I'm like, "You're all our relations. You're not the enemy. You're not the other. You belong here. You need to be here. This is your county. This is your, yes, it's another nation, but we love you," right? And so the cops were like just floored, right? So we make preliminary, things. You're going to need this. You're going to need that. We should do this, and you should talk to this guy. And the real thing. The guy goes, "What will really make or break this?" He goes, "My brother, who's the mayor of Watkins Glen, he owns the two gas stations that are just right off the road where you're going to have this. I mean, when you come off of 81, he's got a gas station right there. Then you go the 12 miles to where the county road starts and then brings you up to that site. He's got a gas station right there. If you get that guy to sign on to this, it'll be no problem." So I said, because he goes, his brother is like the judge of this county. So if you get those two guys to say, "Yeah, this is a good idea," I said, "Okay, well, where are they now? And can you bring me to them?" And the guy goes, "Well, the judge guy, yes, he's like upstairs. We can go see him." And I said, "So should we all go?" And he goes, "Well, let's finish our little thing, and he goes to lunch upstairs. I have like the judge's dining room, and we'll go up there and have lunch. I'm the head of the police, so I'm part of that club. So we'll all go up there and have lunch with him. And you show him the pictures, you show him the girls. He likes girls, and you give him the same rap you gave us. He'll love it, right? So I do that. I get him on board, and he gives me his brother's phone number, and so I go, okay. So he goes, call him about 6:30 in the evening, and you go see him at one of those whatever gas stations he's going to be the next day. So I do, and I call the guy up, and I say, "Hi, your brother told me," and he goes, "Oh yeah, he called me up, and you want to do this gathering? That sounds what you gotta." And the police chief, he said you were a really amazing guy, and you like really professional, and you got all these degrees, and yeah, so I'd love to talk to you. So I said, "What's a good day?" He says, "Oh, how about oh, let's see, today's Thursday. How about next Tuesday?" I said, "I'll be which gas station?" He tells me which one to go. The one right near. He says, "Why not the site where you're going to be going right up the road from there?" "Okay, I'll see you there." So I go there, and I get all the statistics I had from other gatherings. So you get 20,000 people together, and they need batteries and Tampax and this and that, right? And food and this and that, right? And gasoline and this and that, right? And so I had done a number of gatherings, help, not facilitate like I was doing this one, but I was part of the, scouting crew and the this crew, and I did it as the anthropologist. I, took numbers and showed, stuff, so it kind of was a historical reference and photographs and all of that, right? So I show up to this guy, and I have all of these charts and graphs of like there was this one place we did in Vermont where I went and talked to the person who was like him, and that guy, I said, "Listen, you're the only store in like 20 miles of this gathering. Everyone's gonna come to you, and don't worry, they're not gonna steal and cheat and lie, but they will buy everything you got in this place. And here's a list of if you buy all of this stuff, you'll make a lot of money." So the guy, in less than 2 weeks, made $1.7 million, right? And the same week the year before, he made about $3,000. So, and that guy, when after it was all done, I mean, he wanted me to be his son-in-law. I got a daughter you should marry, and so he gave me all of his data of what he bought and sold and what his profit margin was, blah blah blah. So I had all this data and the guy's phone number and everything, and I gave it to that guy, and he was like blown away. I said, "So you're looking at making between $1 and $3 million in less than 2 weeks, and it shouldn't be any skin off your nose." And so the guy said, "That's amazing. And sure, I'm up for this, yeah." And I said, "I'm working with all of your buddies who belong to that club, and I'm like I said, I told them all I want to do it the way they want it done, right?" So this is around February, March, when I get everyone on the thing. And so I go back to Cornell, and there's Ithaca College there. And I go through the school, and I get kids all fired up for, oh, let's do this. So and I moved on that site around March 1st. I mean, I still had my little house in Ithaca when I got too cold or I wanted to shower or be really warm. But I was like living on site, and I was doing shamanic ceremony every day, all the time I was there. And then I had this girlfriend who was a real witch. I mean, real crone. She could throw. She was the real deal, and she was serious about it. And so we made a very interesting. So once she was a friend of Cam's, and we hooked up, and she lived out there with me. She had her own little house and out in the woods, and but she would she loved being outside, and she was really communicating. And Gaia was communicating with us, and we were all one kumbaya. And so as we were going along, you know there's going to be 20,000 people. You got to do sanitation and transportation and parking and this and that. And what was truly amazing was the Forest Service, the state, the Highway Patrol, and the county just kept like the guy So I'd have a meeting with all of those guys in the sheriff's office once a week. Give them a report, and all the judge guy would show up because I'd always bring the girls. And I would bring more and more young people from Ithaca College and Cornell. And Watkins Glen had to oh, those Cornell people think they're so right. Well, I was making a nice little connection between the two universities and this other county and their powers that be, and it was working out. Everyone was like, "Oh wow, this is going to be amazing." So every time I had a little problem, I had these guys I doused that there was a ton of water. I mean, there was, rivers and lakes and ponds, but there wasn't any springs. There was no place I could get potable water for 20,000. And you don't have water for 20,000 people to drink, you have a problem. So anyway, um, I was, you know, talking to the highway patrol guy, and I said, he goes, so how at every meeting, and I said, one of the things I'm seeing that, everything else is working out really great, and we're getting all the logistics down, but I can't find any springs up there. And I said, that's true. There is no springs up there. They're all on the other side of the hill, and to try and get the water up and down the hill, it's going to be a problem. And I said, well, what do you think I should do? And this one guy goes, well, my brother-in-law, he has Mountain Valley Spring Water Company, bottled water, and he provides all of the drinking water for Watkins Glen's races, right? And he has these stainless steel, uh, tanker trucks that have like 20,000 gallons, and they're food grade. So he goes, let me call him up and see if he can help you out. So he calls him up and he goes, oh yeah, he'd be glad to do it. And I said, well, what's it going to cost? He goes, well, he's going to charge you about $20 a truckload. I mean, $20 for 20,000 gallons of water. Distilled spring water. Right? And then he shows up with the first, you know, tanker, and he has another truck with like 20 miles of PVC pipe. And he goes, well, when we do the race, we put the tanker over here up on a hill, and then we run the PVC pipe down to where they need the water. I thought you'd do the same. I would say, yeah. So me and the witchy girl and the other sisters, we lay out the whole, it's like we build the city, right? We lay out, I got little flags, and we're laying out where the paths are going to be, and where the kitchens are going to be, and where the calm is going to be, and Kitty Village. And, so we lay it all out. And I make a drawing, a top map and everything. And then the guy comes with his guys and lays the pipe down from where the tankers are going to be kept to where all the places we're going to need water, and calm, and all the kitchens and everything. And then the Forest Service guy comes in with a front end loader and a bunch of guys with chainsaws. And he said, we do this for the Indian Nation, and we clear out different parts of their forest. And we have scheduled to clear this part of the forest out. So instead of, just dumping the wood someplace, we're going to cut it up into where do you want the piles for your kitchens, right? So we put about 3 cords of wood at every kitchen. We had about 20 different kitchens, and I knew all the kitchens' names and where they'd want to be and what it is. And so we did that, and then we had kids who were in the art department at Cornell College come, and we built kitchens out of, forest wood, and made banners and headlines and the names of each kitchen. So when the kitchen people would show up at sea camp, all they'd have to is bring their pots and pans. We built and I built many an oven, and I knew what fire circles. I've done this before with these guys at each of these kitchens because I was always the kitchen masseuse, because that's how you get fed. And so I prepared everything, right? Then the highway, and every time, all of the different state and county entities were trying to outdo each other to make this thing amazing, right? So the highway guys redid the road from the county road up to where the Indian property onto the site was, and then they put culverts down on the Indian property after getting permission from the nation and putting stone down and then bringing it into one of the meadows that we were going to use for parking, right? And then the highway patrol guys, not highway patrol, but the highway, DOT, brought in lawnmowers because by this time it's end of March, April, all the plants are starting to come up. And out in those meadows wasn't just grass, but all of these Ellen Campaign, Golden Seal, all these healing herbs were coming up. And I didn't want the masses of stoned hippies to just trample everything down. So they lent me one of their highway lawnmowers, and I mowed the paths to all the campsites and all the kitchens and all the dance meadow and the dinner meadow and all the different big meadows where we would have our festival kind of things. I mowed, and I kept mowing them. Right, they let me have the tractor for a month or two, and I kept mowing the lawn until it was like a golf course. So you drove into the site. The road was paved up to where it came onto the site, and we had stone down with culverts, so even if it rained, it wouldn't be muddy. You could drive in and out of there, not a problem. And had a big, sign over the entrance saying "Welcome Home," which is like the thing that everyone says when you show up on site at the gathering. Welcome home, brother. Welcome home, sister. Right. So we had that, and after the stone went into the parking lot, which was like 100 acres of parking, and then over near one of the ponds, the swimming ponds, we built a bus village for all the folks who had buses, and we had water going straight to there, and I had some photovoltaic panels that I put up and made a battery charging center, and from that onto the main meadow, right at the beginning we had what is known as information, and that's where people can leave. Hey, I'm going to be I'm camping here or that, and all the information on like Rainbow 101, which is a one paper thing on all the protocols of how to shit and have your own cup, blah 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 kind of stuff, and everything else, right? And in that information thing to the side, we had the guy with the water. He brought in showers. He had like porta johns and showers, and he placed about 20 porta johns and about 10 showers, and he brought in hot water heaters, and he brought in propane tanks so people could come and get real hot showers, and people who didn't want to crap in and we put porta johns there and porta johns over at Calm. Because sometimes when people are really sick, you don't want to have them crapping in a slit trench where someone might pick that up. Anyway, so this was a gathering like no one had ever seen. And people just came in and were like mesmerized because you parked and just walked a few hundred yards onto Main Meadow. And, there was forest up all around Main Meadow that we had kitchens and campsites. And people were like, are we in heaven? Because half these people are basically homeless, road dogs. And this was like, and I knew I'd been enough of these gatherings, so I knew exactly what it was, right? And basically, I had gotten all of these kids from Cornell and Ithaca College, about 40 of them, they'd never been to a rainbow gathering, but from March all the way through, and none of the, Stalinist obstructionists or drainbows showed up because this wasn't like a national, even though, because there was a Grateful Dead thing in Buffalo and a national kind of in Pennsylvania, and the Ithaca gathering was kind of right in between it off of 81. And so people didn't hear about this until, a couple of weeks before they showed up at the Dead concert, and they were going to go to the Dead concert and then go to the Rainbow Gathering. And then, people started saying, "Oh, this is going to be this regional, halfway, we can like camp out there for a day or two before we go to the national." So there were no drainbows there too. So there was like, it was almost like valet service. There were like these 40 kids they ran the whole thing. So the drainbows who do rainbow politics, they, didn't have, this was a regional. These were the regional people, so they came. But the 20,000 people who were heading for the national came to this gathering. And it became the, instead of people going to the national, they went to this place, and it was so amazingly beautiful. And all the kitchens showed up, and they didn't have to do any hard work. They just had to carry their pots and pans in, and there's running water with sinks, and 3 cords of wood. They'd have to go get wood. They'd have to go get water. Each kitchen had a porta-john. It's like so. Like I said, if I was going to do this, and the other thing about it is that even though I laid this all out, I got everyone else to do it. It was their gathering, not my gathering, right? But everyone called it my gathering because, everyone knew me, and those 40 people who were helping me do it said, "Oh yeah, Al, Anyway, it was great because all I did was hang out at my little healing temple and had a good time, and everybody, all the kitchens, all of the people, the Kitty Village people, the comp people, they were just like, couldn't believe it. And I didn't take any credit. I didn't say, "Oh, it's my gathering. I did it. Oh, it's all me." No, it was all our relations, and that was like the logo. And the it was the Iroquois land, and they came. Grandpa David Yarrow, everybody came, and they had the Indian, the Iroquois Nation had their own camp that people came to, and it was like, it was what the Rainbow Gathering is supposed to be. And that was it. That was okay. Now, NERF, New England Rainbow guys, they kind of, Jimmy Two Trees, "Oh, yeah, we did it, NERF did it." No, forget about it. And everyone said, "Yeah, right, Jimmy." Anyway, so they consensed at that council to do a gathering in the NERF land. That this one was so amazing, NERF should be able to pull out a national, not a problem. And, so we did. So that's where I'm getting this story. So Ithaca Gathering was this miraculous, and it happened because, not me, it's because the only thing I really did was constantly meditated on the power of love's co-creation. And that's what the thing that really made that gathering was love's co-creation, right? And people in Ithaca and people in the rainbow scene, they went, "Did you go to the rainbow, the Ithaca? Oh, wow, that was right." And even in Ithaca, they still talk of that. So we did and this is where I'm getting. This is like, I always come around to the real story. So, me and Red Bear and Tiom and a number of the real scouts, Scout New England, Vermont, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, all over the place, right? And we find this site in New Hampshire, in Mount Moosilauke, backside, Dartmouth is on the other side of this mountain. They own it, but it's still a national forest, so we can do it there. And we go to the Dartmouth guys, and we say, "Hi, we're the Rainbow family, and we're the guys who put on the Ithaca Gathering. Oh, we heard about that. We'd love to support it." And they were going to give money and pay for everything, right? And we never had that. Somebody give us a check to do a Rainbow Gathering. Anyway, so we take it back to the NERF Council, And Jimmy has this vision of doing it in Vermont, in this place that they did a regional. They had like maybe 500 people. So me and Red Bear and T-Ohm and a few others go up and look at the site. Yeah, it's very pretty. It's off of 100, which is this windy little teeny road, whereas this site in Mount Musalaki had just been clear-cutted, and the Forest Service had like put a highway to this thing. So, getting from, again, 81 to or 91, whatever that road is up there that goes up to Canada. That's an interstate. To get there from there was very easy. A lot of parking because they built this gigantic wide road that we could park cars on. Had water, had a river, had a place to swim, had great drinking water. They clear cutted this place. There was more wood on the ground. All we had to do was pile it up. And the site would be brilliant because we were going to clean about 400 acres of the 1,000 acres they clear cut. And it was the 20th anniversary of the Rainbow Gathering, and it would show, here's Rainbow guys cleaning things up, and this is how the Forest Service destroys everything through their, industrial corporate guys who cut all the trees down. And so and the Forest Service guys who are really tree guys, were up for helping us clean up that 300 or 400 acres we were going to use. It was a beautiful site. It was a great site. But Jimmy said, no, we're going to do it in Vermont. And, and we had a big brouhaha. We went, and there was another site in a nuclear waste dump that this crazy woman wanted us to have it in. And so, we went to each site, we counseled at each site, and everyone agreed that the Musalaki site was like heaven and perfect, and it would be great. But Jimmy had enough rainbow politics to have us, consent to do it in Vermont. And so, the scouts and all of us who said, no, the Musalaki site is it. We said, fine, go ahead, you do it. We're just going to camp out here in Musalaki and tell everyone we're here. And whoever shows up here, that'll be nice. And, you can do the national by yourselves. Good luck. Anyway, so weeks went by, and they had real problems. There was no drinking water, the transportation, there's no place to park cars, that they were going to be on the warpath. And the sixth of, the Forest Service police guy, he basically said, where's Al? Why isn't Al here? Al would make this work. And so, they came over and begged us to come back. And they said, please, 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 this is going to be terrible. People get hurt, die, blah, blah, blah. And, the rest of the scouts and I kind of looked at each other and said, okay, we'll come. So we went. We still had a couple months. It was like maybe May when we decided, okay, we won't be like stick in the muds. We won't go, I'm taking the basketball home and you can have, we didn't do that. We said, okay, we'll come. We'll take it. And we didn't complain. We didn't, say anything. We just did the job. We knew what to do. So first thing I did was I went and found the police, and the six brought me to the sheriff, to the highway patrol guy, all the stuff, right? And he said, oh, you're Al. Well, wow, glad you're here because these other guys are jerks, they just don't understand. I said, yeah. So how are we going to do this? You tell me what you want. So we laid out a plan, and they, again, said, now the real deal breaker is this woman. She owns the little town at the bottom of the road. And if she doesn't want this thing to happen, she can stop it. I mean, she can just block the road. She has that kind of, she can make a real stink about this. So you're going to have to go and do that thing that you do and get her on board. And so, had my little briefcase of all the data from that one that I showed the other guy, and I had all the data that guy had, and he made almost $4 million in 3 weeks. So, I show up to this lady, and she has this really, she owns the town, she owns the general store and the this and the that. She had the only restaurant, the gas station, all the above. So I go there with, the sheriff of the county, And he goes, Mildred, this is the guy I'm telling you about. And she kind of looks me up and down. She goes, mm-hmm. And she goes, do you like tea? I said, do I like tea? I love tea. Not, and the sheriff had already told me, he says, you go get some good tea and give her some good tea and she'll be. And I said, well, how about this? And I had this nice Chinese Moulin, you know, yummy kind of tea that I had in my little tea collection. And she invited us into her apartment in the back of her store, and we had tea, right? And she had some nice little crumpets, and we talked, and I took out my briefcase, and I showed her all the data I had, and I said, this is how much money you're going to make. You own this place, you own every business, you're going to make all of this money. And she looked at it, she goes, okay, we can do business. And I became her son. She said, I wish my son was like you. Anyway, so we organized it, but there was no drinking water there, right? And so every morning I would go down and she made these amazing blueberry pancakes, right? And she had these, she was a baker like you couldn't believe. And so breakfast was my favorite meal, and it was hers. So me and the sheriff and her had breakfast almost every morning, in the 5 or 6 weeks up until seed camp, and laying this thing out. And Jimmy, she didn't like any of the other people on the gang because they were like, yeah, we're gonna do it our way. So, and one of the things and she loved, boy, did she ever love T Home. She wanted to marry that guy because T Home was, I mean, he was like 80 years old, and he had been a soldier his whole life, so he looked like Rock Hudson, but not gay. And he would walk around without his he had ripped abs like you couldn't believe. And so it was me, Teom, and Red Bear. And Red Bear is really smart guy. He had gone to law school. He was a smart guy, but he said right at the pinnacle where some big company was going to pay him a lot of money. He said, no, I'm not going to do that. And he met Teom, and he and Teom just hitchhiked all over America for about 5 years. And, they became, like the Dharma bums. And then they kind of got into the rainbow scene and a few other scenes. And they were the best. They were best traveler guys I ever hung with. We rode the rails. We did all kinds of great stuff. But anyway, so the three of us were quite an interesting crew. And this woman who owned everything, she really thought we were the bee's knees, and she loved Teom. She wanted me to be her son. She wanted Red Bear to be her lawyer, and she wanted to have Teom as her boyfriend. But anyway, I digress. So we're getting everything done, and whenever we come to a problem, the sheriff and she would kind of figure it out. And I said, our biggest problem is there. And she goes, there's no water up there. You guys are morons to want to camp on top of a mountain, and there's no water near it. There's no river. There's no spring. There's no nothing. Why? I said, I did not pick this place. I wanted to do it. I kept saying, I wanted to be in New Hampshire. Anyway, she goes, oh, Mount Musalagi, that should have been the place. Anyway, so what she does is she owns everything. She's got, and she goes, I have a maple farm. I tap maple syrup. And she got her guy to bring over one of their stainless steel tanks that they put out, and then they run hoses from all the trees, and it collects the maple syrup in this thing. And it was like a sled. It had things that you could drag this thing. And so there was a large face of I don't know what kind of stone it was, but what little water there was on that hill came through that stone. So this guy was brilliant. So he pushed this 1,000-gallon tank, stainless steel tank, up against the rock, and he had these sheets of rubber, and that he had, one of those nail guns, and he, nailed the rubber up the side of this big face of rock. So whatever water would form on it would hit the rubber mat and go into the tank. And like magic, every frigging day, it would fill up like if you used it up all day long, at around 6 o'clock, it would almost be bone dry. We turned the valve off, and overnight it would fill up. It was like magic, right? And so there were a number of little things that we did that were like that. How we laid out the camp was the same kind of way. We put people where they could, because there were a number of plants that if you stepped on, you got $1,000 fine. Another moron thing that Jimmy, he didn't think about anything except what he wanted. He had this dream about this gathering. Anyway, so that's all fine. So the gathering shows up, and it's almost like not a nightmare, but it's kind of the worst. But it could have been way worse if the three of us, the three musketeers, hadn't, you know, gotten the hearts of the powers that be. And so, and again, I keep saying, you can't fight these guys. You have to cajole them. You have to go around them, over them, up them, and sweet talk them to the point where they'll do the right friggin' thing. The powers that be. Imbecile folk, hard to do that. You just kind of have to just stay away from them. But anyway, so every morning I would come down and have breakfast with this lady. We're into seed camp, lots of people coming in, and the highway patrol guy and the sheriff. We'd have breakfast and we'd talk about security reasons and stuff of that matter. So the things are going, and the highway patrol guy is getting, so the FBI, the sixes of the, Forest Service, the federal government is starting to, bring its little thumbprint onto this thing. And it's not like the Ithaca gathering that was on the, Iroquois Nation property. It's on Forest Service property, so they have total jurisdiction. And I'm trying to sweet talk those guys, and I know half the sixes there, and I know the regional commander guy of the Forest Service sixes, and I get along with them very nicely, and they are happy to see me, glad that I'm the interface guy, and I said, we'll try and make this as painless as possible. And I said, the council picked a stupid space because it pretty much boxes the gathering in, meaning you can totally control it. You do totally control the space. There's one way in, one way out. It goes onto your road. There's nothing can go through this without you controlling it. And I said, well, that's one reason we like it. I mean, it's keeping you guys away from everyone because you're so over there on the top of that mountain over there. And, you picked a stupid place. There's a bad way to bring your food in, a bad way, there's no water, blah, blah, blah. I said, don't go on about that. I have to deal with this shit. So anyway, so we were all, on thing, and they were, so it was we, the Three Musketeers, and, there's a guy named Plunkett who is part of what is known as, they're like the Rainbow Police, Shantasina. And the guy, Water, who was, head of, COM, Center for Alternative. So they would come to this meeting, and everybody was on the same page. Plunkett is like more authoritarian police guy than the police, and so they kind of get along with him. They knew him, and so the people who interacted with the powers that be got along with him pretty good. Not to say there weren't a lot of morons and road dogs and train bows, and it seemed to attract that, whereas other gatherings have been more sweet and gentle on the scene. So anyway, the thing starts off, and I, at night, would saunter down to where the alcoholics camp, the A camp is. And I'd hang out with those guys, and for years I would hang out with those guys. And I didn't treat them like the other, which most of the gathering would. And so I got along with those guys good. So one night, one of the first nights before the 4th, they're really, pretty lit up. And, they got kids. And this one kid, he's in a snowsuit. And his parents aren't even paying any attention. He's like walking around and falling over and walking around and falling over. And he's probably about 2 or 3. And I'm sitting there around the fire, and the fire's raging. And the kid stumbles and falls right into the fire. And all the drunks don't see this at all. This kid is going to go up like a Roman candle. And there's a guy coming down the path, a newbie. I mean, he doesn't know where he's coming. He doesn't realize he's walking into the A camp. But this guy's got, hero written all over him because I don't see him. But I get up and I reach into the fire to grab the kid. And at the same time, the guy on the other side that I don't even see grabs the other side of the kid. And we both pull at the same time. And the kid shoots up in the air and his burning snowsuit busts open. And the kid flies through the air like a pea in a pea pod. And the guy catches him. And all the drunks don't see any of this, right? And the kid is, a little red from, being in a nuclear fire. And we basically, I find out, I said, who here is the mother of the kid in the snowsuit? And I go, okay. And I said, listen, your child, we're going to take him to calm. Do you want to come? I said, oh, no, I don't care. Take the kid. So we take the kid up to calm and, hand him to some, responsible sisters who watch out for him. And I tell, the Shantasina guys what happened and that they need to really seriously talk to these guys about this. Anyway, I wasn't going to go any further, but that was like a miracle. I'm like feeling, wow, that's amazing. This things will work out. If that happened, then, the gods are watching out for us. So by this time, I have gotten my rainbow girlfriend, and she's an interesting girl who I kind of met at Dartmouth when we were trying hard to, we got the kids there and kind of interested in the rainbow gathering that we are going to do on the other side of their mountain. And then when we weren't, they were kind of disappointed. So I said, well, just come to Sea Camp. That's actually a lot more fun than even the gathering. So she showed up, and we kind of hit it off. And she was about 19. I think I was maybe 40. Anyway, but she was quite an interesting young lady. And I was like going, I'm going to be like Tiom, because Tiom, he was like 60 and he always had like 19, 20, 27-year-old girlfriends. So I was taking a leaf from him, and that she was really quite an interesting woman, right? And I wasn't, it was like totally shoulder to shoulder, not like, oh, I know what I'm doing, I'm an older guy, blah blah blah. No, shoulder to shoulder. We had a load of fun. We laughed, we giggled, we were sparking it up really nice. So it can be a little, if you're used to taking a shower every day, if you're used to crapping in a toilet every day, if you're used to being able to open the refrigerator and get something to eat or drink, this thing you had to walk miles to get something. I mean, I had a nice campsite, I'm Cadillac camping. And I mean, if you come to the Deep Green, you will see. Anyway, so every morning, she and I and the other gang would go to the main gate and find somebody who's driving downtown, and we'd go down and have breakfast at the ladies' place and talk to the powers that be and work out what, whoever got arrested that night, we'd go through that stuff, right? Like the sheriff said, we'll try to make this as painless as possible. And the lady was happy, she was ding, 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 she was making some serious money, and if she's happy, all the other powers that be are happy. So everything's fine, and we're eating, blueberry pancakes and really great bacon and, amazing maple syrup and fresh butter and biscuits and omelets and, you name it. The quiche, this woman could cook. And, and the three of us were like her sons, better than, she kept saying, you're much better than my son. Anyway, and she thought my girlfriend was really cute, and Tiom's, she was a little jealous of Tiom's girlfriend. But she was then trying to snuggle up to Red Bear, and Red Bear was like, it was a little bit of a curmudgeon. Anyway, so we're talking, and the not the FBI, but he was a state trooper. So he was like the representative of FBI or the SBI, State Bureau of Investigation. And he goes, our intelligence says that there is a group of like psycho killers who are heading for your gathering from California, and they're going to try and kill as many rainbows as they can. He goes, oh, isn't that sweet? That's very nice. And he goes, so you should be on the lookout for a tan Winnebago with California plates. And I go, okay, I'll be on the lookout for that. I'll tell, Plunkett. So, you know, we get that message. So we go back up and we pull around. And again, it's not, we're about a week before the 4th of July. But there's, probably 1,000 people there now. And it's like a test, see how everything's working. And it's just clunking along. And so it's like, I'm not, as long, my only concern was my little healing temple. Everyone got drinking water and no diseases broke out. And I interfaced with the powers that be, kept them at bay and happy. That was all I was going to deal with any of that other rainbow politics or stuff or whatever. I'm not going to do it. Let them do it. So, I'm happy in my little healing temple and things are going along and I've got my sweet little girlfriend and she's liking it, but she's got, this has been like her 3rd week of not taking a shower, I'm already starting to wear her clothes. She's wearing my clothes. And, and we are really an interesting couple, So, but every morning we'd wake up and she liked to party. She'd go to Boogie, Meadow and dance all night long. And I could dance till about 2 in the morning. And I just, by the side of there, I had I had little tents and little camps all over the place. So I wouldn't have to walk all the way up to our healing temple. So, when I would poop out around 2 and she still wanted to dance the night away, I would just crawl into my little tent nearby. And when she got tired or wanted to snuggle, she'd come into the tent. Anyway, so, we got dirtier and smellier and tireder and we just having a grand old time. But if you don't sleep and she liked doing all the substances, so, she would want me. So, I'd let people, you know, knock an eyedropper down under my tongue. So it was, not a whole like a gazillion hits, but, one drop. And yes, so, I'm telling, Buddy there, I've done all this stuff, but my body in excess, I can't do anything in excess. See, like when I went for hedonism in excess, it really nearly killed me. So anyway, she was a good, whatever kind of little substances I was doing just to keep up with her was okay because I was keeping up with her and made her happy and it was fun. I knew it was only going to be for that moment. It was like going to be for the rest of my life. But anyway, so I'm having this kind of altered state kind of reality. That's kind of reality, but altered, right? And, I'm not going full bore into being Mr. Facilitator. I do the little things that no one else is doing and, little magic-y things. But mostly I'm just having a good time with this young lady and my friends who are showing up, who I normally don't see that much, and my friends who I've been hanging out now with the last 3 years, Tiom and Red Bear and a few others. Anyway, so this one morning, it's about 2 days before the gathering. Now there's maybe 2,500 people and just throngs of people coming in. And so I go down and, I go to the main gate and I look for a ride and this Winnebago pulls up and I go, you going downtown? Yeah, we're going to go down and get some supplies. That's okay. We get on. So it's me and my girlfriend and I'm wearing her Mickey Mouse underpants and she's not wearing any. And she's wearing like my boxer shorts as shorts. And she's got she's well endowed and she's just got like a bandana giving her a little bit of modesty. And, I'm, wearing, I think, a Captain American t-shirt. And anyway, and I got cowboy boots on and I got a cowboy hat on. And, we definitely look strange. But the rest of the bus is pretty strange. There's these 2 guys in the back, and they're like just totally like, yeah, man. And then there's a road dog, who's like, "Ah," and there's two guys up front, who the driver and his buddy, and then there's a guy who's got a pack, and he's really nervous, right? Anyway, my girlfriend, she's like in my lap, kind of snuggling up to me and being very sweetie, because I'm a morning sweetie guy. So I'm being morning sweetie to her, and, nibbling her ear and that kind of, and we're looking forward to our blueberry pancakes and really good coffee and buns and all the rest from the old lady. So we're coming down, and the guy screams, and like, what's up? And he goes, "There's a cop behind." I said, and I go to the back of the Winnebago, look out the back, and there's a cop back there. I said, "Yeah, there's tons of cops around here, big deal." And he goes, "Is he going to stop us?" I said, I don't think so. Anyway, I go back to my sweetie and nuzzle up to her, and then about 5 minutes later, he's screaming, "There's more!" When I go back there, there's like six police cars. So I got their lights on. Now, this is a very windy, very narrow, there's no real place to pull off. So I go, yes, that is strange. So I said, don't worry. When we get down, we'll figure it out. It's not a big deal. And he was like, they're going to stop us. They're going to arrest us. And I go, no, no, no. And I go, what's up? And this guy had like, 500,000 hits, sheets in his pack. So total moron, right? And, that's a lot. He would go up for a big time on that. And he's obviously, this guy is not a professional. Somebody, I have no idea how he got, he just opened his pack and I looked in and I saw all these sheets. I said, is that what I think that is? Yes. And I go, and I just kind of breathe deeply, because on a certain level, when we get down there, if push comes to shove, I'm going to have to like be the negotiator on all of this. So we're winding down the road, and I look up, and above the driver, it says Winnebago. And I kind of look out of the vehicle, and it's tan. And I go to the guy, where are you guys from? And he goes, oh, we're from California, man. So here is the tan Winnebago from California that the highway patrol guy told me to watch out for, because it's a bunch of insane killer guys who are going to kill rainbows. Well, these two morons, no, they're totally, no, these guys are not those guys. But they are in a tan Winnebago from California. So I have a sense that the police are more concerned about that than anything else, right? So I tell the guy with the pack, I said, listen, buddy, just cool your jets. And I tell them the whole story. They think it's these guys. These guys are kind of in a tan Winnebago, and they are, from California. And I'll straighten it all out when we get down below. Not a problem. Just relax. Don't say anything. Don't make a peep. Just be very quiet, and they'll let us all go. Don't worry about it. And I said, just relax. Just breathe, breathe, breathe. So I then go to the Winnebago guy, and I said, so you're not here to kill? No, man, we're here to have a good time, man. Wow, yeah. So, okay, right. And then I know the road dog. I've seen this moron at a camp, a number of times. And he's just, he just mouths off to anybody. The cops are pigs, wow, wow, wow. And I said, listen, buddy, for once in your life, keep your mouth shut. Just don't say anything. I'll take care of all of this. Yep. So I tell the driver, okay, we're going to get down here, and there'll probably be a lot of cops out there. And just stop and don't do anything. Stop, put the car in, turn the engine off, put it in gear, put on the safety brake, and put your hands on the wheel. And I said to everyone in the Winnebago, okay, everybody, put your hands on top of your heads and don't move, right? So we pull up to, and there's like, you know, hundreds of cops. They all got M16s and shotguns, and I'm scanning the police, and there isn't a single policeman I know. These are all guys who've been brought in the last few days, and they're scared. They think this Winnebago's got murdering people who are going to kill them. And I go, this is the worst case scenario. So I take off my Captain American shirt and take off the little shorts, and now I'm only wearing cowboy boots and my girlfriend's Mickey Mouse underpants, right? And they're a little tight on me. And like the guy in the mic, everyone in the Winnebago, come out one at a time with your hands, with your fingers over, on top of your head, and get on your knees. So I get off the bus, and I come out, and and they're like over there, and I come out, and I am in cowboy boots, cowboy hat, and my girlfriend's Mickey Mouse underpants. Obviously, I do not have a gun. And I get on my knees, and I put my hands on top of my head with my fingers interlaced, and I start like crawling their way, and I am saying the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, as loud as I can. And all of these guys with M16s and shotguns who are hiding behind their car are looking at me, and their mouths are open, right? They do not. And I'm 40 years old, and I got my beard, and it's starting to turn white, and, and they are just like, their eyes are blinking. They look like deer caught in a headlight, and their guns are like slowly going down. They're not like freaking out like they're going to kill me. And then over the hill comes the the head six, the guy, who's the head highway patrol guy, and the sheriff, and the highway patrol guy goes, "Ow, ow! What are you doing?" And he goes, "Everyone, put your guns down. Put them down." And they come over to me, and they're laughing, but very, "Well, we're really sorry about this." And I said, "You better be. These guys could have. Where were you? You guys should have been right here. Why did I have to get off this thing and be in these underpants with this crazy hat on, these boots, just to make sure they didn't kill anybody?" And they're like, "Oh, yeah, we're really sorry. We're really sorry. We're really sorry. We're so sorry." Don't worry about it. It's okay. And anyway, so we walk back and all the guys have like gone away. They put their guns away, and it's just those three cop guys, the head guys, me in my girlfriend's underpants, cowboy boots, cowboy hat, nothing else. And they poke their head in, and they see my girlfriend, and they go, "Oh, sweetie, we're so sorry. We didn't mean this, man." And they look at the California guys, and they look at the, tan Winnebago, and I said, "Yeah, your intel told you." And the guy's like squirming, goes, "We're so sorry, we're so sorry." And I said, "Don't worry about it. No one's dead. Everyone got out alive." And I look back at the guy with the pack, and he is sitting in the back, stuffing the sheets into his mouth, and his head is already starting to melt. And they look at him, and they look at me, and they say, "Is that what we think that is?" I said, "Yeah. You guys, where's your ambulance? You better get that guy and give him, hose him down with Thorazine, because he's eaten more than humanly possible. And yeah, you do with him with whether, he was just like the rest of everybody on this bus. We were just got on to come on down here, And I didn't know anything about that guy until he started to freak out when he saw the cop cars behind him. And instead of like being, "Oh wow, we're going to throw the book at this guy," they were like, really, "Oh, that poor jerk." And so, they picked him up, put him in the ambulance, grabbed his sheets, and I have no idea what happened to those after that. And the road dog started, "You pigs, you pigs." He just went off, off, off. And they looked at me, and they said, "What should we do with this guy?" And I said, "Whatever you want to." And so they kind of grabbed him, threw him in the back of, the meat truck. And, he was, screaming and yelling and bouncing around, and they took him away. And the other three guys from California who, oh man, they said, so when are you guys going? So we're just going to go get some supplies. We're going to go into Putney. And they said, okay, come on. So I let them go. Anyway, so the head highway patrol guy said, listen, we're really sorry about this. I said, no harm, no foul. The guy whose brains are like melting through his ears, you take care of him. Be nice, be gentle. And yeah, we'll take care of that. Road dog, whatever you want to do, I don't care. And they said, listen, we're going back to the Holiday Inn at Putney. Do you want to come? We'll put you up in a room. And my girlfriend said, does it have a clean shower? And the guy goes, we'll put you up in a suite with a jacuzzi and room service. And my girlfriend went, really? Is there a store I can get some clean clothes? Yeah, we'll get you clean clothes. So we got in the back of the highway patrol car, and they drove us off, right? And so the crowd of rainbows who were in that town saw me and my girlfriend get in the back of the highway patrol car, and they drove off. So we went to Putney. It was like Friday, and these guys wined and dined us, bought us clothes. We went to the nicest restaurant in town. We were in the jacuzzi suite. My girlfriend she was just stayed in that jacuzzi in the bubble bath. She just loved it. It was like the quintessential thing that she needed, right? And so we spent 3 nights, right? And we came back 2 days before 4th of July, and the camp was like the war drums are boom, 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 boom. And the cop car drove us all the way up into the thing, right past the main gate, and drove us all the way up. And we get out, and there's this woman who's like totally self-righteous. And, she has war paint on. And what did you do to our brothers and sisters? Why did you take them to jail? And we're wearing clean clothes, and we've been scrubbed and buffed, and we don't have that rainbow skank on us. And my girlfriend said, no, you don't understand. We stayed at the Holiday Inn. We had a jacuzzi room. It was magnet. It was like going in heaven. It was great. Oh, I loved it. Oh, I love this guy. And, she's hugging the sheriff. And the people are aghast. How could we go to Babylon? Well, it was pretty easy. The skanky site that Jimmy made us. I mean, if we were at Musalaki, it would be a different thing. And Red Bear and Tiom and my other brothers and sisters were just like shaking their head, going, "Yep, that's Al." And anyway, so this woman goes up and slaps the sheriff. And I knew this woman for years. I just said, listen, you are so full of crap. And I kind of turned to them. I said, this whole thing is full of crap. We shouldn't be here. This is, and I said, maybe I'm going to get back in that car and go back to the Holiday Inn, And my friends over at Com were over there going, no, don't do that. We kind of need you for the 4th, So I said, okay, everyone relax. You got a timeout, the woman who slapped the cop. And I said, you're okay, right? She didn't really hit you too hard, did she? He goes, no, not really. My wife hits me harder than that. So anyway, the cop left, and the thing went on, and, it was just another rainbow gathering. It was, what it was. But the meaning to this whole story was this thing could have been, all those cops with the shotguns and machine guns, they could have killed everyone. Every rainbow person who was around there could have been dead. And, they could have gone up there after that in a rage of testosterone-filled, powers that be insanity and killed everyone. But because I groveled in my girlfriend's underpants with cowboy boots and a cowboy hat, everything worked out. And the thing that was the matrix of it working out was saying the Lord's Prayer really loud. So we were talking about things that went bump in the night and the scary stuff, and oh my God, what happens if this? if you just say the Lord's Prayer really loud, no skanky demon or monster can really touch you. And then if you throw in some really bad elephant jokes and how many demons it takes to screw in a light bulb, you'll be fine. Okay, so I've been talking forever, so how much? Oh boy, you guys chatted a good deal, didn't you? So we'll go back to where we left off. And so, snowboarding, my keyboard, do 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 do. Yeah, seeing your dead grandma. You know, how you doing, grandma? Crawling up her leg. I think the guy in the Winnebago, that's what he was seeing. His dead grandmother crawling up his leg with a knife in her teeth. Yep, I'm sure that's what he was seeing. He has to handle this tripping. Yes, exactly. Yep, like Jager's Farm. Yep, pretty much. And that's kind of where Rainbow Gatherings came from. Steve Gasson brought the Tennessee Farm to feed everyone at Woodstock. Otherwise, they would have starved. Those guys were the hero of that. They don't really get too much credit for it, but that's why that 500,000 people didn't die. Yep. I mean, there have been many great gatherings and parties that don't get the... Meaning, the next year, Watkins Glen had 1 million people, and it was a much better concert than Woodstock, but it didn't get the buzz. We all live in a yellow submarine. Yep, we do, we do. And the idyllic part comes from the spirit that we live in. Meaning, like I said, and Teom, Red Bear, and I, we found the best site that was going to be amazing, and the moron politics of the situation made us do it in the crappiest place. And we were not respecting all our, by traipsing 20,000 people into an extraordinarily sensitive bioregion. That's not giving respect to Mother Earth, Yeah, it's a lot of moolah. Rainbow Gatherings, I mean, this guy named Vermin Supreme, we used to do, when Dinner Circle was, he was a funny guy. He ran for president a couple of times. Anyway, we would, basically ask people for money. And, from the 3rd, 4th, 5th of July, when we would do that, we would get $20,000 to $60,000 in cash and checks. And when you have that kind of money, it's pretty easy to feed 20, 30, and to get whatever you need, whatever supplies you need for COM or Kitty Village or anything. I remember one time in North Carolina, I mean, again, they picked the worst site, and the seed camp were vile to the powers that be, so they were vile to everybody else. And, the roads, no one prepared anything, so we had just never-ending rain. And so it was one gigantic mud apocalypse, So it's not always that ideal, because it's what is started off with, what kind of intention. Everything is intention. So, the Ithaca Gathering was like heaven on earth, because from beginning to end, our intention was to co-create with love's, unconditional love. And we brought that to the police and to the powers that be, and everybody, made it a great, amazing thing. And the police were part of it too, and they loved their experience, and everybody had an amazing time, and the guys with the money made money, and it was great. Now, Vermont, not so much, because the morons we picked, again, the scouts found an amazing place because we had the intent to find another perfect place and we found it, but because of the stupid nerf politics, they picked the worst place. And then we were going to be, oh, well, we're not going to, you want to be there? Good, do it yourself. We're going to be over here in our lovely little slot, and whoever shows up will have a great time. But, they came and said, oh, no, you need to, please, please, please. And so we did, we did what is called of us to do, and that's to help all our relations the best we can. Yep, like the Renaissance fairs, exactly. And those things are fun too. And that girlfriend who I had at the Rebecca, she got into Renaissance fairs. I went to a couple with her, and we stayed buddies for years until she got married to a guy who was rich and wasn't quite into that stuff. She invited me to her wedding. That was quite awkward. Because she didn't quite, she put me on the list, but didn't quite tell anybody, what I was to her. Yes, it's I don't want, this is, almost prejudicial. But someone once told me this theory. It's called the theory of Y. You know how there's X and Y? Anyway, they say that males who have Y at the end of their first name, Jimmy, Billy, Kenny, Bobby, Larry, Stevie, are total morons. And they always get the bum's rush, and they live a life of a geek, who are people who are destined to bite the heads off of chickens at carnivals. And you look at, Kenny at South Park. He always dies at every episode, but he comes back. So, you know, and being like the geek, he's like Jesus Christ. He's like, you know, pops up back. So anyway, the why, and I don't want to diss anybody out there in the family who's, but you look at Lawrence of Arabia. They didn't call it Larry of Arabia. You know, um, Laurence Olivier. He was never Larry Olivier. It kind of works out that way. Timothy Leary. He wasn't Timmy Leary. You know. Yep. Synchronistically. Yep. Yeah. Steel workers. Yep. 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 Algonquin. I mean, all of the Iroquois nations are amazing. Do you know the story of the Iroquois nation? So they're all up there, way before white folk, but like around Jesus Christ times. They're up there, and they're a heavy duty warring bunch, right? And so, but they do it civilized, meaning when they have war, only the warriors fight. They don't go in and kill all the women and children or destroy the crops, you know. And they kind of play a game, So there is a 20 square mile area forest, and this crew has to get over to that side, and that side gets over to that. Whoever does that wins the war, right? And within that little 20 square miles of forest, those guys can kill each other, but nobody else. So the nations, so one nation would fight the other and this and that. But it gets to a point where all of the nations of the Iroquois Nation, before they become the Iroquois Nation, are having one big blowout nasty fight. And they're doing it near a Great Lake. And there's a part of the Great Lake that's kind of, I forget which Great Lake it is, but I guess it's whatever Great Lake is kind of near, New York, if that's Erie. Anyway, so it's up there somewhere. Anyway, so they're like whacking each other with their war, hatchets, and it's quite bloody and really a terrible mess. And all of a sudden, they kind of look over at the lake, and here comes a guy walking on the water. And he walks across the and they all stop whacking at each other, and they're just like amazed that they're watching this guy walk on the water. And he comes up, and he walks up off the beach, up this hill to where he's above this whole mayhem, and he starts talking to them. Now, they speak other languages. I mean, they all can communicate to each other, but he is like talking to them in their head and telling them that they need to become a great nation. And that way, they will stop fighting and they will become a great nation. And he gives them the great law, the Iroquois great law, how to, you know, organize under, you know, the lodge, and everyone who is in the lodge can speak. And no one is more important than the next person. Anyway, so that became the Iroquois Nation, and that's where the term. So he opens up the earth by just like the wave of his hand, and he tells all the warriors to bury their hatchets, and that's where the term "bury the hatchet" came from. That story from the Iroquois Nation. Awesome. Da, 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 da. Yep, yep, yep. Do, 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 do. Put bacon on my bacon bits. Yes, I had a friend who had a kitchen at the Rainbow Gatherings, and it was called "I'll fry anything and wrap it in bacon, covered in chocolate, and put sprinkles on it." Kitchen, and that's you would bring whatever you wanted, your piece of broccoli, your lamb chop, whatever, and he would wrap it in bacon, put it in a fry later, and you know, then pour chocolate on it and put sprinkles. And boy, you could do that to a boot and it tasted good. Blueberry fritters, my best. I love that. I love fritters. Yep, he had a lot of LSD. Yep, the memories, and that's why we do stuff. I mean, the only reason I would go to another rainbow gathering, there is lots of friends there that I only see there, right? And I made a rule after the Vermont gathering. I told everyone, listen, no, after the second West Virginia gathering, I said, listen, I am coming to another one of these things unless it's 70 miles from where I am and you come and get me. So they did. They put on two gatherings within 70 miles of me, and they came and got me. So, but even no matter how crappy or like the Vermont gathering, it was still great. I mean, the story of me getting off in my girlfriend's underpants with cowboy boots and a cowboy hat, and then going to Putney, Vermont, and going to the Holiday Inn. I mean, that's a great it's a great memory. And the gathering itself, there were a lot of great things. I mean, you know, I'm a human being. I can get a little flustered when, every time I'd see something terrible go down, and I would close my eyes and say, if we were just at Moonsalaki, this would be not this way. And to know it was because of somebody's ego. And you just, for the betterment of everybody, I just had to say, okay, I'll try and do my best. Yes, that was a scary situation. It could have been way worse. Everyone could have been full of holes. If one of those scared kids really freaked out and started shooting, that would have been it. Oh, it would have been bad. And luckily, just at the right time, the three people in charge came over the hill and started laughing and telling everyone to put their guns away. Oh, what is this here? Oh, hell. Who would have thought? But I always think like a dirty hippie, which is funny to me. Well, I've never been a hippie. I've always been a flower child because the term hippie came from Spiro T. Agnew, because a hippie is a person who shoots heroin in their hip. And he tried to diss the war movement by calling the flower children dirty hippies. So that's where that term came from. So I never was a dirty hippie. I was always a flower child. Now, I've been a pretty dirty flower child. Being that Winnebago, my girlfriend and I, we were pretty dirty flower children, that's for sure. Oh, I love you guys. You make me laugh. Into a starship. As long as the starship doesn't look like a tan Winnebago with California license plates. I mean, cops are like everybody else. They're great cops and good cops. I got so many great cop stories. One of the things I did to prepare myself to give it a good reason why I shouldn't go to Vietnam is I volunteered everything I could. So when I was in Local 3, the unions were probably one of the best social entities of this country. And then when they were destroyed in the 70s, 80s, and 90s and totally whacked by the O's, but when I was in Local 3, and nobody wanted to be, they just wanted to make the money and go home and drink. So nobody was a shop steward. So I was like 20, no, 19. I'd say, you want to be shop steward? I said, sure, I'll do it. And I got involved in their nonprofits. And they had a thing called the Boys Athletic League and the Girls Vacation Fund. And they would take kids out of New York City in the summertime and put them up in Bear Mountain in these camps they had. So I volunteered to, help run one of those. And anyway, long story short, there's a lot of stories. That's a whole other story. But I had a really good friend who was like, 7 foot tall. And he was a really great basketball player. And he played at the University of Maryland. And he was a great guy. He was like, he looked like a Sasquatch. He was hairier than hairy. He had long hair, long beard. Anyway, during the summer, yeah, we're out there in the, beautiful, Bear Mountain and the lakes and all that. But, to take care of thousands of kids, you can get a little tedious. I mean, it was great. It was fun. One of the best summers I ever had. Some of the best friends I ever made. Anyway, I had, my family had a piece of property on this place called Shelter Island. And I thought, we got 4 days. We could easily hitchhike from up, Bear Mountain to Long Island and camp out on the beach and go swimming in the ocean and then come back. And on this island, there's some people I know and we can stay at their place, da 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 da, boo boo boo. And, so we did. So we got a great ride from Bear Mountain almost to Montauk. And we got off and took the ferry to Shelter Island. And then we just walked from the ferry and stayed on the beach. And we had a great time, but the friends who I was going to depend on to like use their bathroom, and they weren't around, And again, the police guy of that island I knew, and he let me stay at the police department with my friend. It was like, Barney Fife. We slept in the jail. But he didn't lock the door, and we could use the bathroom. And But so when we went back, we are trying to hitchhike, and we're on the Sunrise Highway, and it's raining and raining and raining and raining, and we there's a sign saying, if you go down and get on the highway and try and hitchhike, you'll get arrested. Don't do it. So we're on the entrance ramp, right? Because the sign doesn't start at the entrance ramp, so we're there, and it's raining like cats and dogs, and the cars are just going right by. We're like there 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours. We don't have a nickel in our pocket, and we're standing. The on ramp is right where the Peter Pan Diner is, and we really haven't eaten anything in 2 days, and we're really hungry. We don't have a nickel, and all we can smell are cheeseburgers and steaks, and the exhaust is like blowing on us. And we're there for 3, 4 hours, and I look down, and underneath my sneaker is $100 bill. And I go, I turn my head very slowly, and I say, Mark, I don't want to move, but I want you to come over here and look at my left foot. And he looks at me and goes, why? You hurt your foot? And I said, no, no, no. I don't want to move it. I just want to see if I'm hallucinating. I think there's $100 bill underneath my shoe. And he comes over and he looks down there. He goes, well, unless we're both hallucinating, there is $100 bill underneath your shoe. So I say, I'm not taking my foot over until you put your fingers around the $100 bill. And then I will slowly move my shoe, and you hold on to that $100 bill with everything you got. And so he does. He takes his two little fingers and make sure he's holding it. I move my foot. He grabs it, and we go into the Peter Pan Diner, and we are drenched rats. And the waitress comes over to us with some towels. She goes, yeah, we've been watching you boys for the last 3 hours, and we were just going to come out and get you. That's like, and I said, do you have a menu? She goes, sure, sure, yeah, we have a menu. And we basically order everything on the menu, right? And we eat everything. And we, take 2 hours. And we just, oh, wow, wow, wow. We're like Homer Simpson. We have a couple of beers, and, we are just feeling no pain, still raving like cats and dogs. And we've gone in the men's room and use the blow dryer in there to try and dry ourselves off and our clothes off. And anyway, so we're having a really good time. The waitress is the owner, the cook, they're all very nice. And they, basically, this is 1970. 1970? No. Yeah, it might have been 1970. Anyway, long story short, they said, if we knew how nice you guys were, we would have come and got you right away. But we thought you were those kind of hippie guys. We were like, didn't know what to make of you because we both had really long hair. Like I said, my buddy, he looked like Sasquatch. He was like 7 foot tall and just covered in hair. So we're having a great time, telling stories, eating everything they had got. And after eating everything on the menu, our bill was only like $24. So we still had, 70 something dollars left. And we give them, the girls, a nice tip, and we walk out, and it's starting to get to be about dark 30, around 6 o'clock. And it's still raining, and I say, fuck it, let's just walk down on the highway and put our thumb out. What's the worst? They'll arrest us, we'll be in at least a dry place. So we get down there. We're not there more than 3 minutes, and a highway patrol car comes by, slows down, puts on his blinking red light, and rolls down the window and goes, boys, you got a place to sleep tonight? And we go, well, I guess we're going to jail. So he goes, get in the back of the car. And I get in the back of the car, and my tall friend, he goes, hey, you Sasquatch, sit in the front seat with me, So, I'm sitting in the back, and there's the gate between me and them. And I'm looking at them, and they're both like 7 foot tall. Now, the policeman, he's got a, shaved head, and he's like, he doesn't have but he looks like my buddy's twin brother without any hair. And I'm looking at him, and the policeman goes, "Did you play basketball for Maryland?" And my friend says, "Yeah, I did." He goes, "Well, I was from Syracuse, and we played you. I remember you." And they start talking about basketball and that game and how great it was and da 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 da. I'm sitting in the back, with the gate between me and them, and I'm feeling a little left out. Anyway, he does not take us to jail. He takes us home, where his lovely little wife has made dinner waiting for him, and he's like 7 foot tall and she's like 5'3", and they're just so cute together, just so lovey-dovey. It's just like, right. And they put us up in their guest room, and we're like, and it was just so bucolic. It was just so nice. And we had another great meal, and they talked about basketball, and I said, "Do you have a bathtub?" And she goes, "Do we have a bathtub?" She goes, "I have my own bathroom, and I have this bathtub that, we bought this house because of this bathtub." And she made me a bubble bath, and she goes, "Here's a towel, here's a robe, here's some of my husband's pajamas. You just have to roll up the legs." Anyway, I stay in that bathtub for at least 2 hours. I'm a bathing kind of guy. And, I was cleaner than clean. I toweled myself off. I got into the PJs, put the robe on, paddled my way back to that bed and just took off the pajamas and slept in the buff under the clean sheets. Oh, it was exquisite. And, I went bang to sleep. And I woke up to the sound of the thudding against the side of the wall that the bed was at. And I look out the window, and there the two boys are playing basketball, really like toe to toe, really going at it. And they were laughing and slapping each other on the back. And my friend had shaved and pulled his hair back in a ponytail. And it was like, first time I ever seen him like that, It was like freaking amazing. And the wife had made us a killer breakfast with everything you could imagine. And he goes, "Okay, boys, get in the car." And I said, "Well," he goes, "I'm going to drive you back to your school," which meaning he's in Islip, Long Island, and he drives us all the way to Bear Mountain, like 150 miles. He goes, "I'm a state trooper. I can drive this car anywhere into the state of New York. And I'm not on duty, but I have the car. So I'm putting on my uniform and I'm driving you up to camp." So he did. And he drives us up there. And it's again another one of those scenarios where we drive onto the campsite and everyone's like, we're in a police car. And they're like, "What happened to the boys?" And we get out and we tell that, "No, this is our best new friend, Officer, I forget his name, but, anyway. So police can be really great if you treat them like a human being. And that's what I do. Whenever I go into a town, one of the first things I do is I go visit the police department, and read their palms and bring my runes with me and my cards. And those guys, all of those guys, love to have readings. They love to hear someone listen to their story. And that's how you connect with cops. You let them, vent, and then you kind of teach them how to breathe. How do you breathe? Wait a minute, I just breathe. I said, no. I've taught a lot of police how to meditate. Actually, there's one good friend of mine, policeman, who I taught, and when he retired, he started a company that goes and trains policemen on how to breathe. Okay, my battery's going low, so I have to move up to where I can plug this thing in. I had to buy a new friggin' charger, and then instead of the wire being like 10 feet long, it's 2 feet. So here we go. We're plugged in. We're charging. Rotate. Okay, here I am. So, what have we been talking about? I've been get your natural chart, natal chart. We will have elements within us. Yes, yes. That you know what Plato said about astrology. It is a wise man who is guided by the stars, a fool who is led by them. So, I use astrology. I use all those tools, but they're tools. They're not a religion, you know? Okay, here's an excellent astrologer. I know many excellent astrologers, really, really good ones. And, I have many skills. I know astrology, but I don't call myself an astrologer. I went to school to be an acupuncturist, but I don't call myself an acupuncturist because, people who are really, really good at what they do, it's like almost genetically in them. So I'm a great electrician. I'm a master electrician, a master photographer, a chef. I am a master healer in my own little bailiwick of, shamanic, psychosocial, cultural, forensic, anthropologic alchemist. I do that very well. Get free from the web of lies or get caught up in the mysteries of. Yep, exactly. Who said that one? Oh, of course, Mr. '09. Yep. No, you are Joseph to me. You will never be Joey. You know, you are Joseph. Now, actually, you're always Dragon to me, but if I have to call you a name, you are Joseph. And Joseph is a great, noble name. Of course they're fine. Of course they're fine. And I said that this was a theory and I didn't want it to be prejudicial, you know, because that's what, like, I lived in Ireland and there's 9 counties there and there's Kerry and Cork and they all, there's Kerryman jokes and Cork jokes and it's like Polish jokes. These are all things that are meant to divide us and to define us in ways we don't need to be defined, right? But I'm a moron, and that why thing stuck in my head because there's so many people who fit these that's what categories are. And so, one of my talents or curses is that I look at trends and look at things. And yes, I know I have some friends who are Joey. I have a really great friend from Brooklyn named Joey, and he is the sweetest, nicest, greatest guy. And so he's Joey. He's not. And I used to try, and a lot of people who have the Y, and I try to call them that, unless they want to be called that. Meaning, if they don't like being called the Y name, well, and everyone does call them that. Well, if they want to, whatever they want to be called, like Dragon, you want to be called Dragon or '09, it's your choice, not mine. I love you all, no matter what your name is. Like I said, for the longest time, I couldn't even figure out what gender half you guys were. So you're just all my relations. So and I try, I'm a moron human being, I fall into the category of being a mud puppet every now and then. A good deal of the time I am not awake. you know, I I am being more and more forced because of the universe saying, okay, you got to step up, kid. And so, okay, because, the more I serve love's co-creation, the better my body works better. My everything works better. As my grandma would say, I'm living like a millionaire without having to be one. And So yes, I try not to judge. I try not to stupidly categorize things. I don't look at people as the other. But I'm a moron. I fall. The one thing I do know is I know nothing. Um, yes, stop second guessing. Yep. Yep. Exactly. Always go with your gut. Those little guys in our gut is a lot smarter than our stupid mind. What should I do? What should I do? I don't know what to do. You know, just take that step forward, step after step, moving forward. And before you know it, you're in a better place or an amazing place or some other place. Of course, and I don't expect or want anyone to agree with me. I am the griot. I tell the story. I throw it out there. I'm the pebble, the little waves. It's what you do with it that counts, not what I say. And drugs, like I keep saying, everybody's different. I know people who do tons of drugs, and they're fine people. Me can't so much. I do a little bit here and there. When pretty much everything I do, I try to do when it's appropriate. Like when I was hanging out with that sweet rainbow girlfriend of mine. Well, she loved all that stuff. So, hey, I did a little bit of it so I could share the buzz with her. And she liked that. She liked the fact that, okay, maybe I don't like that stuff, but I'll do a little bit just so I can get on the same wavelength with her within that construct. And then once she realized that I could get in that wave with her without, getting a drop under my tongue, it was, but that's what relationships are about, reaching out to each other and being there for each other and doing things that maybe is outside of your comfort zone, but makes the other person a little more comfortable and they can get to understand you better. And that's what I do. I don't judge anybody. I don't believe in anything, so I'm not saying, oh, drugs are terrible, they're evil, they're bad. No, it's just that I can't do that much of them. For me, not for anybody else. I wouldn't judge for anybody else. It's not my place. Yes. Yes. You know, um, Basically, meditating before you go to sleep for some people isn't the best thing to do. So what I do is I clear myself from whatever anxiety or bad thoughts or things that bent me out of the space during the day. I try to, I go into my Akashic record, I open up the book, I put whatever's bothering me in the book. So when I go to sleep, I won't be bothered. So I sleep like a log. As soon as I do that little process, and I'm not in bed, I'll be sitting up and I meditate. And it's not the deep kind of meditation I do in the morning to recalibrate my body, but it's to empty whatever angst of the day I put away. And at that time, I can, if I wish, kind of say, okay, I want to dream about this, I want to do that, about the being, and the boom, I want to work on this little thought. Kind of what Edgar Cayce. I mean, he would take a book, put it under his pillow, and go to sleep. And when he woke up, he would basically know every word in that book. As if he had read it and had a photographic memory. He didn't even have to read it. He just slept on top of the book. So I can do that with dreams. And so, but most times, if I'm not particularly wanting any X, Y, or Z lucid experience, I just kind of lie down, put my head on the pillow, and go to sleep. And I usually drink a glass of water, and this is a Native American thing. So those guys back in the day didn't have watches. So if they wanted to get up and get ready to go hunting or whatever they're going to do before sunrise, they would drink some water so they'd have to pee, so they'd wake up. So that's kind of what I do. So I, basically wake up around, I don't know, 4 o'clock, take a pee, then go back to bed. And if I want to have some fun in dreams, that's when I tell my subconscious, okay, I want to dream about this, that. And that's when you have the most lucid dreams, meaning you dream all night long, but you don't remember them, unless you program yourself to. But if you wake up like a couple hours before you got to get up, and then you go back to sleep, you can tell yourself, oh, I want to dream about this, that, or the other thing, and you'll have that really, that's when you can really have a lucid dream, is in that thing, yeah. Cold showers. Yes, to emerge, engage the dreamer within. That's what dreamy dreamland is about, engaging the dreamer within. Yes, eventually waking up to your waking life. Yep, exactly. As Buddha says, I am awake. Life is a meditation. Yes, exactly. That's very nice. I like that. 9. The true meditation is the realization that life is a meditation and you are dreaming yourself. Exactement. I love that. Yep. Why I'm not married yet? I've been married twice, and I still have one left in me. When I went to that tea room after when we first, the crone and I stopped and went into a little village in Limerick. When I came back, when I left the crone, I went back to that place on my way back. And I went back and saw that woman. And she read my tea leaves. And she basically was very interesting because she normally, I can read things out of people, but I don't tell people the future because only God, I don't like using that word, but only love's co-creation knows the future, right? Now, parts of our subconscious, because we're nonlinear creatures, and we're in our consciousness, yeah, we know what's going to happen. So anyway, this woman in the tea house read my everything, but her best tool is was tea leaves. Now I read everything. I read tea leaves and cards and runes and I know astrology, but my best tool is reading palms and the runes, and I use them as a tool, together. The other ones I can fill in. But anyway, this lady's, her thing was really tea leaves. And what was really amazing, so she told me a lot of stuff about what I was going to do and blah, 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 blah. And then she said, and you won't remember, when you walk out that door, you won't remember this. But as these things come true, you will have an experience of deja vu. Oh yeah, that's what she said, right? Well, I've had enough of those. Oh yeah, that's what she said. That the one thing I do remember is that she said that I would be married 3 times. And each of my wives would be very special to me, and that, I would do amazing things with them. And the third one I would have when I got over 60 years old, and that I would have a child with that woman. And she would be, of childbearing age, therefore, at least probably 30 years younger than me, if not younger. And so anyway, I know I have one more wife left in me, right? And the women who have come in my life since my second wife until now have all been great. And there are a number of them I should have probably married, and I've told stories about that. But I wasn't ready. And it really took me a good, you know, 30 years to get ready after my second wife, you know. Blogspot.com, you'll read the story about my second wife and what that was. And actually, it's better to read that story than for me to tell the story, because I usually become a bit too emotional, like I'm getting right now. So I will just say, go read that story, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Anyway, so yeah, I got one more wife left in me. And every time I've died 3 times, since my second wife. And every time they say, no, you're not done yet. You got to go back. And we got things for you to do. And basically they say, and you got one more wife. So I got one more wife in me. So I know I'm not dying until that happens. And I guess one of the reasons I gained all that weight and looked the way I do, and you can go back and see the pictures. There's that one picture, I'm in that orange shirt, and I look like, the Goodyear blimp. And I'm so big that my poor little system is working overtime that I look like I'm bathing in Crisco. I got this sheen on me, right? Well, I've lost 250 pounds. I'm almost my high school weight. I'm in pretty good shape. I can walk around. I can still dance. Even though my feet aren't attached to my ankles. That's a pretty good trick. Well, I've been gas bagging. What does that mean? Telling stories? Gas bagging, what is that, buddy? Talking, going on and on. Hey, how many times do I have to tell you guys? I am a griot. This is what we do, right? I tell the story. You guys chat away, and there's this symbiotic relationship here, that the energetic flow of these two things intertwining. This is a chat unlike most chats, right? And it wouldn't happen if I wasn't just yammering on. But, when you talk about gas bagging, there is one drug that I was a gas bag at, and that was nitrous oxide. That was one thing that, like, you know, whippets. I should have gotten stock in whippets. And I had a lot of friends who were dentists. Lollygagging. I love that word. Oh. Well, buddy, he is like he's a cojote, and the cojote, I think it's Lakota. That means the guy who rubs you the wrong way, and you are there to and he does it in such a way that it's not really mean. It could be mean, but he's not mean. So you got to take it as like a sideways joke. Let's see. Ow. I got a great story about marbles, but that's for another time. Because we have been talking now 3 hours and 14 minutes. Whoa, baby. How can I have a low battery when I got you plugged in? Okay, I guess I have to go. It's been fun. This is a good one. I mean, each of these chats are getting better and better as we go. And everyone is welcome. Everyone is loved. Everyone is here filling a position of co-creation. Everyone. All my relations, I love you. I'll see you tomorrow morning. And remember to be that little puddle, that little pebble, to be the wave that is the tsunami of love's co-creation. Okay, gang? It is 3 hours, 14 minutes, and 55 seconds. Good night. Sweet dreams. Yep, laughing gas.